Texas. It underscores the importance of tonight's game in the Astrodome as the Cleveland Browns face the Houston Oilers for the AFC Central Championship. The quest for a title. It tests your commitment. It exposes your emotions. It provides the moments to cherish when you succeed. And it imposes moments of frustration when you fail. After 4 months of intense competition, the season comes down to one night. With 4 consecutive playoff appearances, the Browns continue to build on their rich tradition. This season, they've unleashed rookie running back Eric Metcalf, whose versatility and startling moves have added another dimension to the Cleveland offense. Quarterback Bernie Kosar has been hampered by injuries. Tonight, he must play at a championship level or the title will be lost.
This is it for us. This is the biggest game we've played all year. And maybe in my lifetime, this is the biggest football game I've been involved with because it's so important to us.
In the 20 seasons since the AFL-NFL mergers, the Houston Oilers have never won a division championship. They can tonight if they receive the expected leadership and superlative play from Pro Bowl quarterback Warren Moon, and the rest of the Oilers are at their intimidating best.
Bottom line is it's the biggest game probably for everybody that's been in the game. As a coach, as a player, this is a chance to do something that's never been done in Houston, Texas.
Is on the line for the Browns and the Oilers, and we have the largest crowd in the history of this franchise to see it. Standing room only. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick, and from all of us at ESPN, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Last week, these two teams went in vastly different directions. The Browns won a game that they had to have. The Bengals were wasted in Cincinnati. And, Joe, I guess when you lose 61-7, you just forget about it.
Well, you try to forget about it. The coaches certainly can't. They try and encourage the players to. Jerry Glanville did the right thing. He didn't allow his players to look at the film. I wouldn't be surprised if it got burned in the process through the week, Mike. But they're a very loose ball club. They're going to come in here, let it all fly. That's the way Jerry Glanville coaches. Bud Carson, on the other hand, in his first year, this is a new experience for him. He said this could be the biggest game of his life. What's so interesting about the Cleveland Browns is Big Daddy Hairston, one of the team leaders, said yesterday at practice here in the Dome, he said, if anybody's tight for this one, you have to answer to me. So both teams are going to be loose.
Now, you played in so many of these big games. What does it take to win one of them?
In these kind of football games, what it simply takes is it takes your key players to make big plays. For the Oilers, Warren Moon is going to have to make big plays. He's got to get the ball to Drew Hill and Ernest Givens. That's going to be plain and simple for the Oilers. For the Browns, it's got to be Bernie Kosar's football game. He hasn't really played well. Just last week got his first touchdown passes in 20 quarters. So he's going to have to get the ball to Webster Slaughter and Eric Metcalf. Last week against Minnesota, combined, they only touched the ball 5 times. But I guess Bernie put a footnote to this whole thing when he simply said, this is not just another football game.
Bud Carson, in his first year as the head coach in the NFL, after many years as a defensive coordinator with a brilliant reputation. Jerry Glanville now in his 5th season. He has a chance to do what has not been done in Houston since the AFL days in 1967, and that is to win a division championship. Standing room only in the House of Pain, the Astrodome in Houston. And the Browns will get the football first. The Oilers will kick off. Tony Zendejas has it teed up at the 35, and the ever-dangerous rookie Eric Metcalf waits deep, high and short. Metcalf at the 18 has to hesitate. Nice return by Metcalf all the way out to the 38-yard line. Browns quarterback Bernie Kosar, he's been bothered all year by a bad elbow. He had gone 20 quarters without a touchdown pass until last week. The Browns are counting on the pass, and that means Webster Slaughter. He's killed the Oilers in the past. Based on the best season of his career, Slaughter will be in the Pro Bowl. The line strength is pass blocking. Cody Rison, the best of the group. He's been playing hurt all season. And the crowd will be a factor. Kosar with his first throw, Brennan across the 50 into Oiler territory at the 49-yard line. His favorite possession receiver. The Browns going with a hurry-up offense. Surprise to you, Joe?
Not really. This is a playoff game, and you pull out all the stops in this one. We saw trick plays last time they played. Now they're going with the hurry-up.
Loose ball. They'll whistle it dead.
That'll slow it down.
Yes, it will. Dick Hantak is our referee tonight.
And now Houston can make their substitutions. That's the whole thing. Is this game, because of the speed of the wide receivers, becomes very important whether you have 4 defensive backs in the game or 6 or 7. And that's why the hurry up by Cleveland is so important. It keeps the certain defensive people on the field for the Oilers.
Encroachment, defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
The Oilers under Jerry Glanville traditionally heavily penalized. Most in the league again this year. The ball spotted at the 44. 1st and 5. Mack is the single setback. And he'll get the carry. Huge hole. Mack to the 40-yard line. Coming up from the corner, Steve Brown and Donaldson with help from safety.
Interesting. Visiting with Webster Slaughter, the one thing he pointed out, and Kevin Mack is the guy, I think, who you may see make a big impact for the Browns here. He said, you know, this is only Kevin's 3rd game back. And Bud Carson, quite candidly, was rather impressed with the progress that he's made.
2nd down and a yard. Kosar wants to throw. Overthrown. Good coverage down there on Webster Slaughter by Chris Dishman. And you can be sure Dishman will be talking to Slaughter all the way. On defense, with Ray Childress out injured, the Oilers will have to count on William Fuller for their pass rush. He has 6.5 sacks. Robert Lyles back from an injury. He's vitally important positioning players. 2nd on the team with interceptions. We'll get to the secondary in a moment. Mack on 3rd and short. 1st down and more. He barrels to the 36. Take a look at the secondary as Fuller made the tackle. The secondary burned in the first game against Cleveland. Has gotten a great year out of Steve Brown. The Oilers thought he should have been voted to the Pro Bowl. One thing on Kevin Mack, of course, he missed so much time, serving 30 days for cocaine possession. Also had arthroscopic surgery in September. He's just getting back into playing shape. Kosar under pressure, steps up, incomplete. Through the hands of Lawyer Tillman, the rookie out of Auburn. Steve Brown in the vicinity.
You know, one thing, Mike, Bernie Kosar just doesn't get enough credit for his ability to move around. Everybody thinks he looks gangly, and his setup to throw the ball is not necessarily perfect, but watch him avoid traffic. He moves around so well. See how he steps up? He knows where his receivers are, turns his hips and shoulders towards the target, throws a perfect strike to Tillman, and he just can't hang on to it.
2nd down and 10 from the Oiler 36. Opening drive of the ball game. Delay to Mack. Gaping hole up the middle, and Mack pounds it down to the 24-yard line. Richard Johnson and Donaldson made the tackle again.
The reason why you have success with a running back when you go with a hurry-up is because the defense is forced to have 6 defensive backs in the game. They're not in there to make tackles. They're in there to cover the 4 wideouts that are in the game. That's why the running game becomes bigger plays for the offense.
Gerald McNeil, number 89, is in there. Kosar for McNeil, overthrown. Patrick Allen was with him on the corner.
Gerald McNeil running around with his new fashionable style of shoes. The lovely orange, there they are. I'll tell you one thing, as a quarterback, you certainly don't have to worry about trying to find a guy that got orange hats and orange shoes. Throw it somewhere in the middle of the orange and you should have a completion.
Of course, if McNeil at 5'7", you still have trouble finding him. Needs to wear everything day glow. The Browns have scored only once on their opening possession this year. Another delayed handoff. This one diagnosed very well. Eric Fairs, number 51, the first man on the tackle, along with 93 Robert Lyles, who had missed 3 weeks with an injury. Jerry Glanville coached the linebackers for Bud Carson at Georgia Tech. And, of course, Bud joked. He said the reason he hired Jerry is he didn't know him. But he respects him as a coach and he likes him as a person, which is in sharp contrast to last week with Glanville and Sam White. 3rd and 10. 4 wide receivers, Mack the single setback. Oilers come with a blitz. Kozar with plenty of time. Flag is down. It's intercepted by Lyles. Lyles back to the 37-yard line with his 5th interception of the season. Now we'll check the flag. There are 2 down. And Bubba McDowell, who started this game with a very tender ankle, is the Oilers shaken up. Dick Hantak and crew sorting this one out.
We have a low block on Houston on return. We have offsides. Defense, number 96, 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down, 3rd down.
Oh, does that hurt? Sean Jones offside. And the interception is negated. Bubba McDowell still down for the Oilers, being tended to. He has had a sensational year. Statistically, the rookie has had a better season than the other rookies, Atwater and Oliver.
Top right there. Sean Jones right up top. See him come up the ball? He's just lined up wrong. Tries to get off the ball with a quick move, and they flag him for being offsides.
That's McDowell just banged into the turf on the tackle. We'll check on him when we come back. We have a timeout on the field. Scoreless first quarter. Great rookie year, but right now he's spent a little time on the sideline. 3rd down and 5 for Cleveland. Kozar looks left, complete. That'll be a first down. They'll mark it at the 13-yard line. The tackle made by Steve Brown on the ice cube, Gerald McNeil. Let's go back to the previous play for a second, Joe.
Well, what they called offside was, you'll see, there's Sean Jones right there, his head, and there's the ball. Now, you can see his head is over the plane of the ball. He will wind up putting pressure on Bernie Kozar and forces the interception by hitting him just as he releases it, but it doesn't do him any good because he was too close anyway.
That's sort of an inexcusable mistake.
Yeah, it really is.
1st and 10 Browns. Tim Manoa is into the backfield for Cleveland. Kozar for Tillman. Tillman got away with a little push, got rid of Patrick Allen with his left forearm. No call on it.
Patrick Allen's about 5'11". Lawyer Tillman goes 6'5", 230, and he can run. That's the amazing thing about him. He has really not had an opportunity to get involved in the offense because Reggie Langhorne and Webster Slaughter have done such a good job.
Slaughter has yet to touch the ball in the first quarter. He has been the Oiler killer in the past. Delay to Manoa, hits the line of scrimmage and stuffed. Houston figured it out that time. The tackle by Robert Lyles, the 6-year man out of TCU.
He just fills, there he is, he's in the gap. Center blocks away. As soon as Rakowski blocks away, boom. Just smashes him. Little smash face going on. That's Houston Oilers football.
Lyles is tough. He is critically important to this defense. Very aggressive inside linebacker. 3rd down. Browns are 2 out of 2 on 3rd down conversions on this drive. Kozar over the middle, too high. It was intended for Tillman. Donaldson and Steve Brown had double coverage, and this will bring up a field goal situation.
Well, what happened in this first drive is Houston gets a chance to see what Cleveland wants to do. They've changed their style a little bit. They're coming out with the hurry up. Every pass into the end zone, Bernie has been long with. I think that has to do with the fact that this game has a playoff connotation to it. You have a tendency to not want to make the mistake and underthrow anybody. You want to protect your offense.
Matt Barr has struggled this year, only 15 out of 23. He has missed 3 potential game-winning field goals. Pagel is his holder, 32-yard attempt. And Matt Barr, the veteran out of Penn State, puts Cleveland on the board. 3-0. We have 9:59 to go, first quarter. We're told that Bubba McDowell has a slight concussion. His return tonight is questionable. He came into the game with a very bad ankle injury. They didn't know whether he could play or not. He gave it a go, but on that interception return after he got the ball, his face was just slammed into the astroturf.
He had nothing but his face to break the fall. I mean, if you're playing on grass or if you're playing outside, at least the ground, well, it used to have a little give, but now that the world has become the tundra, the ground doesn't give anymore anywhere.
Scoring drive took more than 5 minutes off the clock on the opening drive, and Matt Barr with a 32-yard field goal to make it 3-0. Brian Wagner, the punter, will kick off for the Cleveland Browns. Lorenzo White is the center deep man, standing at the goal line. Very important for Cleveland on that opening drive to try to get the crowd out of it. A record crowd here at the Astrodome. Low line drive kind of kick. Taken by Johnson at the 5-yard line. Nowhere to go. He got it back just shy of the 15. Oiler quarterback Warren Moon, who will be the AFC starter in the Pro Bowl. Physically, he is the complete package, and he has been more consistent this year than ever. His favorite target, Drew Hill, the 10-year veteran, one of the most productive receivers in the league, averaging more than 1,000 yards the last 5 years. The line is one of the best in the game. Bruce Matthews, brother of Cleveland's Clay, will start for the AFC in the Pro Bowl this year, as will his guardmate Mike Munchak, also selected to the Pro Bowl. Rozier on the delay. Gets a couple out to the 22-yard line. On the defensive line for the Browns, Michael Dean Perry is a fighter, very quick off the ball, the team leader in sacks with 7. Clay Matthews will be going to his 5th straight Pro Bowl, a 12-year veteran. He always seems to come up with the big plays. The secondary is terrific. No one is better than Frank Minifield. Quick, smooth, tough. He will be going to his 4th straight Pro Bowl. Hanford Dixon, by the way, injured but is starting tonight. 2nd and 8. Moon dumps it to Rozier and overthrown. Almost as an afterthought.
Well, it definitely is an afterthought. If you really take a look at the Houston offense, you look for the wide receivers first, the wide receivers second, the wide receivers third, and then if you really, really have to, you try and dump it down to the backs. I mean, both these teams love to work to the wideouts. The tight ends are no more than just guards with the 80 numbers on them in both these offenses.
Last week, the Browns stopped the Vikings 17 of 18 times on 3rd down, and that is a great passing offense to shut down. 4 wideouts in the game. Moon with time, guns it near side, complete. And that will be enough for a first down at the 31-yard line. Curtis Duncan made the catch, and Frank Minifield was over there in coverage.
You're really playing into Houston's hands when you play in the Astrodome. They love the surface. There you see him up against Minifield. He just pushes him off. See how he comes out of his break? There's no hesitation in their steps. All the steps are true. They come out of it. They love playing on this surface. They feel a sense of confidence as wide receivers when they run their routes at the Astrodome.
Warren Moon has really spread around the receptions among his receivers this year. It's not just Hill and Gibbons anymore. He gets Duncan involved, Jeffries, Leonard Harris. Highsmith with his first carry. Got it out to about the 33-yard line. Gang tackled by the Browns. statistically, they are third in the conference in defense, but I think they're better than that.
Oh, yeah. They do things so well. They're up against some very good offenses. See how Clay Matthews reads the flow? First, he takes his brother on. He didn't talk to him. He said he didn't want to talk to him this week, so he had a chance to just bump into him out there instead of talking to him. Then he moves in to make the play. I asked him if they usually call each other during the week. He says, I'm not going to call him. If he calls me, I'll talk to him. What does that tell you?
They're serious about this. 2nd and 7 after a gain of 3. Moon floats at far sideline. The receiver broke off the pattern. That's Duncan. Right with him was Minifield. Obviously, Duncan and Moon had different ideas where that one was going to go.
Well, see, what happens is when the way the quarterback and receivers should read, and all the routes for Houston are basically option routes. The wide receiver and the quarterback have to see the same thing. In that instance, Minifield was up in a press on Duncan. Duncan felt like he dropped off far enough to run his route. Moon thought that he should continue. That's why I never liked it as quarterbacks. I never liked to give those options to the wide receiver.
Moon has only hit 1 of his first 3 passes for 14 yards. 3rd and 7 here. Good pass protection, unloads, complete. It's a first down. Got it to Givens. Boy, he had Harper all over him, and somehow Moon fitted it in.
Well, not only that, the key to this, and this is great for any young receiver watching, watch how he works back to the quarterback. He drives up the field. Now, look, he's coming back to the ball. If you come back to the football, that means that the defensive man is always going to be behind you, and it increases the chance for a completion. Quarterbacks love to see square shoulders and numbers facing them, particularly if they're their own guys.
Well, you like to have Harper as a backup corner. He's a terrific player.
They barely miss a beat when he goes in.
From the shotgun, straight 4-man rush. Givens to the Browns' 45, 44-yard line. Mike Johnson horse-collared him there. Got some help from Tony Blaylock.
Ernest Givens played in Louisville with Frank Minifield. It was interesting. When Givens first came into the league, Minifield purposely would not pronounce his name correctly. He'd say, what's his name? He'd say, Ernie? No. What's his name? Gibbons? Is it Gibson? Who is it? I mean, he used to give him a hard time trying to psych him out. Now it's just become a case of mutual respect for one another.
The Oilers do not call this offense a run and shoot, but basically that's what it is. Right now they shifted to the eye as Alan Pinkett comes into the ballgame for the first time. He's the deep man. And Pinkett behind Highsmith. And down to the 30-yard line. Van Waiters had to make the tackle, but a sprint of 15 yards for Alan Pinkett out of Notre Dame.
There you'll see the seam he hits right up the gut. They do a good job on Michael Dean Perry. Now look at the hole. Highsmith getting an excellent block. But Steinkuhler, the right tackle, and Bruce Matthews, the right guard, they give him an absolute crater to run through. And, of course, Alan Pinkett, not the biggest of guys. He doesn't need much of a hole. Out of Sterling, Virginia, and the University of Notre Dame.
They call these guys the Bruise Brothers. The Oilers with an impressive drive inside the Cleveland 30. Moon again with good time, throws incomplete, slightly behind his receiver at the 15-yard line. Givens couldn't get the hand on it as Mark Harper was with him again.
Yeah, but what you saw right then is you saw Warren Moon throw passes before. Now you're going to see him take it up a notch and gun it. He knows how close the coverage is. He just flat rifles this thing. And what happens so often when you try and put a little bit more mustard on a ball, you lose the rhythm and you wind up yanking it back low left inside, which happened on that one.
Browns have only allowed 3 long drives of 80 yards or more this year. This one started at the 15. Pinkett again. This time Mike Johnson, the middle linebacker, waiting for him. Johnson said there was a sense of desperation for both teams, and a guy that the Browns thought should have been in the Pro Bowl this year.
And it's unfortunate to a degree for Mike Johnson that he plays in the same conference with Mike Singletary, and nobody is doubting Singletary's ability to be an all-pro and a leader. He's great. But I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. AFC. I knew that. I had that right. But he's one of the rare 4-3 linebackers in the AFC.
That's right.
And he's also in the same category as Mike Singletary.
Third down, 9. Straight rush, no pressure. Moon too high for Duncan, picked off at the goal line. Felix Wright. And what a year he has had. His 9th interception, his 23rd career. That one was just airmail.
Got to give credit to the rush, though. They forced Warren Moon to move around a little bit more and throw the ball late. By throwing it late, he forced it high. All right, see, here comes the pressure. Inside, Bubba Baker making him move. Now, Duncan's open. He just flat airmails it. Up high and away. Felix Wright playing center field. You know, these two teams have seen each other so much that what you're going to see basically is going back and forth in big plays from big people.
First quarter, Cleveland with a field goal lead on Houston. That's Felix Wright, who just got his 9th interception of the year. He has had 7 against Warren Moon. He's played against him now in the National Football League and the Canadian Football League. Picked him off 7 times.
He also said Warren and he have played each other so many times that it's not a question of fooling one another anymore.
Mack and Metcalf. Metcalf in for the first time in the Browns backfield. Play action to him. And then they throw to the little guy at the 30-yard line. Slung down by John Grimsley. Metcalf, the first-round draft choice of the Browns, tried to make him an every-down player earlier in the year, but you don't really want him running inside. He's only 180 pounds, and that's with an anvil in his pocket.
That's it really is, and you just can't take a guy like that and expect him to take the pounding through 16 weeks. Plus, he's another one of those guys who came to camp late, and he didn't have the benefit of having training camp to get himself ready mentally.
Gain 6 on that last pass. Metcalf takes it out to about the 32. They'll be a couple yards shy of the first down. Grimsley again on the tackle, who came into the game leading this club in stops as an inside linebacker.
You know, Mike, the Cleveland offense is basically a second-generation Lindy Infante offense. When Bud Carson took over, he did not want to make a lot of changes. Brought Mark Trestman in to handle the offense, but they're handling really what Lindy Infante did. Except what they tried to do is they've tried to get the halfback more involved, and I think you're going to see this from the Browns. It's going to be an offense where the halfback is going to carry the load.
Ted Banker, the left guard, came off holding his arm, so he's out on 3rd and 2. Throws us, sidearms it to Metcalf, first down and more. This is where he's the most dangerous. Metcalf still on his feet. Touchdown. 68 yards. But I'll tell you what, it really looked like he stepped out of bounds in front of the Cleveland bench. Boy, did it look like he was out of bounds.
Well, he skirts along that sideline, and you just can't tell because he's got his shoes spatted, slides down the sideline. We'll just have to take a look-see.
It looked like the referee who might have made the call was knocked over during the play.
Bernie coming down low to Eric Metcalf. Out of the backfield. Now he starts. Here's the move on Kenny Johnson. There's the old foot up and around the outside. Now here he comes down the sidelines. Look how close he gets. Look at that.
Oh. I think the toe's out of bounds.
Tell you, no, the side judge is right there.
Yep.
I mean, he's in position. He sees. Now here. Now he makes his move. Then the back judge gets run over.
Now the officials have stopped play as there's some pushing and shoving. A flag has gone down. What a big play by Metcalf, and that's what they tried to do all year. Get him the ball in the open field. They showed the replay on the scoreboard here in the Astrodome. The crowd went nuts.
They still don't like it. You know, Jerry Glanville made a very candid statement about Eric Metcalf. He said, unfortunately, if he gets into space, into the open field, we really don't have anybody who can catch him in the secondary. And there you had a chance to see it.
Defense, number 96, delay of the game for kicking the ball. The penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
And you'd have to think that Sean Jones did that, hoping that instant replay would look at it.
Yeah, he's a very intelligent, he understands this game, very intelligent guy. He's looking for every edge.
But apparently they are not. And Matt Barr on to the point after. Got it. A 68-yard game breaker for Eric Metcalf. 3:04 to go first quarter. Two real good programs, Penn State and BYU. Here is Metcalf at the sideline. Look at the officials, the great position they have on the call, and apparently Metcalf is not out of bounds, but boy, was that close.
Well, the side judge, Gary Lane, is right there, and, you know, they saw it. I happen to agree with him. I don't think he went out of bounds. I think he got real close, but he didn't go out.
And a big play that makes it 10-0. Browns. Wagner to kick off again from the 40 after the 5-yard penalty. And they won't return this one until White downs it in the end zone. Scoring drive 76 yards, nearly all of it eaten up by Metcalf on the pass from Kozar. Took less than 2 minutes. And they have really succeeded in taking the crowd out of this one.
And you know, the thing about when he made that run, I asked him yesterday, does he really think about moves? He says, no. He said, I don't think about moves. He said, I think about cuts. And what he tries to do each time he gets in the open field is he works on setting up that defensive back for the next time that he's going to go up against him. I mean, this kid has really got some smarts as well as great ability.
Reminds everyone so much of his dad,
who I played with.
Moon on the delay to Highsmith. Not much. Al Baker, the 12-year veteran, the free agent, came over from the Vikings in on the stop. They've gotten a lot of mileage out of Baker and Hairston, who have 26 years between them up front.
I know, and all 21 of them were chasing me around. I mean, matter of fact, Al Baker broke one of my helmets when he was with the Cardinals. Hit me with a forearm, sent me to the ground, the ball one way and my helmet the other. Sitting on a mantle in my house. Fortunately, my head's not in it.
2nd and 6. Moon with time, a dump off, incomplete. Now 2 flags go down. Van Waiters was all over Alonzo Highsmith.
And Mike Johnson was there just in case anything might have happened.
Defense, number 59, automatic first down.
Excuse me, it is Johnson, not Van Waiters.
He was close enough. It's a pick 'em, Mike. You're right. It's a pick 'em. See Highsmith hook up right in the middle. Now, there obviously Waiters gets hit. Well, what happens, see, now Johnson comes in late. It's always like, even if you're close and you come in late, they accuse you.
So it's a first down, and the Oilers have the ball at the 26. For 5 weeks this season, until last week, the Browns offense averaged 10 points a game, so they're already doing better than they have for the last month and a half. Pinkett, little darting run, got up short of the 30-yard line. Baker again in on the stop. Very nice in here in the Astrodome tonight, but outside, still bitterly cold in Houston, where the Goodyear Blimp America out of Spring, Texas, with pilot Larry Chambers flying around the Astrodome. The crowd of more than 62,000 here tonight. Biggest crowd in the history of Houston Oilers football. And right now they are not a happy group. Moon pumps, hit from the side by Robert Banks, the former Oiler. Al Baker again helped out.
What causes that is the interception that he threw before. You see, he's not going to be in a situation where he wants to let the ball go. In this case, he's trying to go to Drew Hill, and he falls down. So Warren's holding on to it just a little bit longer. See, right there he wants to gun it, but he hasn't anybody to throw the ball to, so he pulls it down. And right, see how he reloads it? Manages to get a little bit of positive yardage, but takes a beating in the process.
He has run, Joe, an awful lot this year. That was his 67th time. Flag is down. Moon scrambling. Didn't dive. Got to the 42. That will be whistled dead. Loose ball picked up by Felix Wright, but whistled dead at the 42 and will be a first down pending the flag. Scramble of 12 for Warren Moon. And it will stand.
When you talk to the players of the defense for Cleveland, the one thing besides their athletic, the wide receivers.
Offside. Defense, number 24. Penalty is declined. First down.
Besides the speed of the wide receivers, Cleveland's defense was concerned about the scrambling ability of Warren Moon. He's not going to run like a Randall Cunningham and gain 100+ yards and hurt you. But it's scrambles like that that keep drives going that really concern him.
He only runs when he has to, but he is a very good athlete. The Oilers have just, of course, that counts a 61-7 game last week when they were slaughtered by Cincinnati. Moon again under pressure. Third pump, throw it away, flag down, intentional grounding. Warren's going to argue, but no doubt about it.
Well, you know, I'll tell you something. I don't agree with that. He's got Alan Pinkett hooked up about a yard or so in front of where that ball goes. He throws it at his feet. I mean, I don't think that the rule is right. I mean, you're supposed to stand there and take a hit instead of throwing the ball away. What? Aren't they trying to protect the players?
Intentional grounding. Number 1 on the offense. Spot of the foul. Loss of down.
Worst thing about that penalty is loss of down to go with the yardage.
Oh, you can't believe it. There. Now, see Warren. He's pumping. He's pumping. Now he tries to come back. Now, look. He's getting out of the way. You know, I mean, you're still avoiding. You say, no, I don't care. I don't like, you know, I'll protect the quarterback. I mean, that's the design of the game, is to protect the quarterback. Let him stand there and get hit, and then we'll be out of quarterback.
Whether you agree with the rule or not, the rule says if you throw it away to avoid a sack,
yeah, I know that.
It's intentional grounding.
I know that, but I still don't like it.
Second and 21. Hairston had the big rush. They dump it off to Pinkett. Pinkett to the 39-yard line. Got most of the original yardage back off that penalty, but it will still bring up third and about 13. And now a rapidly moving first quarter comes to an end. Our score here at the Astrodome in the fight for the AFC Central Championship, 10-0 Browns.
There's air under the heel, so he has a shift in body weight. Now, if we roll Warren Moon on the other side, who's considered one of the more classic drop-back throwers, you'll see him as he brings the ball through, and as he releases it and stop it there, there's his hips and shoulders pointed in the direction, and air under his. Really, I think what people say about Bernie releasing a football and the way he throws looks almost spastic, that's not true. He gets it done however he has to. Throws sidearm. It just looks a little awkward in the setup, but the release is just like everybody else.
First quarter was a game of big plays. The Oilers' interception nullified by a flag, and Warren Moon was intercepted when the Oilers were in scoring position. And Metcalf, a 7-yard reception and tacked on a 61-yard run on the end of it. Third and 13. Moon dumps it short. Hill, way shy of a first down, got out only to the 44-yard line.
In that case, you just want to get positive yardage. I mean, the Oilers, with the explosive offense they have, they realized they moved the ball before the interception. They know they can move the ball against Cleveland. Now it's important that their defense put a stand up.
Greg Montgomery, who has had a sensational year, he is #1 in the conference in punting and net punting. And Gerald McNeil, second in the conference in punt returns, is back to receive. 10 points in the first quarter for the Browns, the most they've scored in the first quarter since the opening game of the season. McNeil all the way back to the 7. And only got back to the 9. A 48-yard punt by Montgomery, a 2-yard return. Al Smith made the tackle on special teams for the Oilers. Hope you'll be with us on ESPN's New Year's Eve special. The Knievel legend continues. Acapulco Cliff Diving Championships. LA Gear presents ESPN's Unstoppable Women of Sports. Our coverage begins at 8 o'clock. Last one's an intriguing title.
The Unstoppable Women of Sports. I want to see it. Of course, I want to see all of it. That's Robbie Knievel. I think, what, Steffi Graf would probably be one of those unstoppable dominators.
Browns take over inside the 10. The crowd trying to get back into it. Flag is down. And they'll whistle this one dead.
Offense, number 74, penalized half the distance to the goal line. Still first down.
Paul Farron, the left tackle, moved early.
That happens so often when you try and get the other team. You know how aggressive Houston is. Now watch the lower left side of your screen. Number 74. He's just going to move. You see the nose tackle move. Just rock back. All you have to do is rock back in your stance a little bit, and they're going to flag you. I'm sure Bernie did that. You try and buy a cheap foul. You try and get him to jump offside. It didn't work. It worked against him.
Spot the ball just outside the 4. Metcalf leaves the field, and they'll go with Mack. With the single setback. 4 wide receivers. Excuse me, 3 wides, and Ozzie Newsome. Oilers show blitz and come with it. Kozar with excellent protection unloads to the 10. Brennan whipped down to the ground by Steve Brown. Apparently, Kozar is not concerned about throwing out of his end zone.
No, he doesn't. Nothing concerned. I mean, he is in so much control out on the field. He knows exactly where everybody is. He knows. What's more important, though, is you have to know that the pickups of the blitzes are there. It's not that you're afraid to throw the ball. You just have to have confidence. That's why they put Kevin Mack in. You put the big back in for pass protection, not necessarily to run the ball out of the end zone.
Metcalf and Mack now in the backfield together on 2nd and 8. Metcalf. Great speed. Went out of bounds right at the sticks. Dishman chased him out. Good block by Ted Banker, who went off injured a little bit earlier.
Now, Cleveland, in that case, that time they faked the reverse to Reggie Langhorne. What happens is if you hurt a team the first time you play them, then all of a sudden they become more cautious. Now, watch this. Left side of your screen. There comes Reggie. See him? He came from the wide receiver position to fake the reverse. Dishman was moving across in coverage to try and stay with him, which opened up the opportunity for Metcalf to pick up the big game.
The rookie out of Texas did get the first down. The Browns are now out at their own 20. Kozar to Mack on the screen. Good job by Lyles, and what a hit by Steve Brown.
And Steve Brown's not a happy camper. He's got 5 interceptions. I think he really felt like he had an opportunity and a shot to go to the Pro Bowl. He didn't get selected, and this is just a great way to take it out on somebody. Watch this, though. You talk about a corner coming up for support. He's giving away a few 100 pounds, it seems like, but he sure put it into it.
Has more interceptions, 5, than any other corner out of Oregon. Kozar 6 out of 11, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Doesn't look like the elbow's bothering him too much, does it?
No, he heard it against Kansas City, and it's just something he realized he has to live with.
2nd and 7. Metcalf, they fake the reverse again. Metcalf somehow got out of trouble. Robert Lyles hit him for what could have been an 8 to 10 yard loss, and he just spun out of it.
We talked about big players making big plays. Now, every time you make a big play, watch this. He's going to come across. The reverse is going to come. They're going to go inside again, and everybody gets a shot at him, but he manages to get up the field and make it a positive game. Fake the sweep. No. There's the reverse. They actually were going to run the reverse that time. He just decided to keep it and managed to make something out of nothing. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot. You know, you might say that's not a big. That is a big play by a big play guy.
And I will guarantee you the trick play is coming somewhere. They're setting it up. 3rd and 7. Kozar rifled that one to Brennan at the 31. It's another first down. Bubba McDowell back in there after a slight concussion in the first quarter, made the tackle. Kozar loves to go to Brennan in the clutch.
Well, you get a feel for people. He knows exactly where he's going to be. He's the inside receiver most of the time. The thing that impresses me is Bernie Kozar hurt that elbow almost 6 weeks ago. And the problem he said he's having is when he throws to release, he cannot totally extend it. But he throws with an adapted style. That means he drops his elbow a little bit more, so he throws a little more sidearm, and he doesn't have to whip it out and extend it like other people do.
Comes the blitz. Kozar unloaded that one in a hurry. Webb's to Slaughter, covered like a blanket by Dishman. John Grimsley was the first one in there applying pressure.
The Houston Oilers have changed their personality defensively this year. They have always, previous to this year, been a team that plays a lot of bump and run, put the defensive back right on the nose of the wide receiver, and blitz. They haven't done that this year. Jerry Glanville says, what we have to do a little bit is we have to cheat a little bit. We'll blitz people, but we'll play zone behind it. Now, that's a heck of a gamble, but you have to change up when you don't think you have the personnel.
That's what they're saying here in Houston. They want a new secondary for Christmas.
I don't think they like zones here, huh?
Apparently not. Metcalf, stray handoff. Holy cow. Al Smith. Metcalf was going one way at about 60 miles an hour, and all at once he went the other way.
That's why I'm thrilled to be up here in the booth with you.
Oh.
I mean, you talk about hitting. I mean, this is like watching those dummies in those car ads. You know, where they run into a wall and go backwards. Look at this. Oh, let them mark forward progress on that one.
Metcalf was just clobbered. That's Ray Childress, the fine defensive end who's out with a fractured right fibula. He is their pass rush specialist. 3rd and 7. Kozar again with time. Overthrows Brennan. Oh, and he had him open in the seam of the zone.
That's a blown coverage. Absolutely a blown coverage. There wasn't enough pressure on the passer. They had people working up. Bernie, that's a look at disgust. That's when you know you got one. Has plenty of time to throw the ball and just cuts this baby loose up the field. And Brian Brennan just bouncing off of people going, gee whiz.
Wagner on to kick. And Kenny Johnson, averaging 7.5 yards a return, is back. Oilers showing a rush. And they come. Didn't get there. Contact. But the man was blocked into the punt. Johnson all the way back to the 12. Got away from one tackle. And then hammered down at the 12-yard line. Great special team coverage. Barry Redden, the backup running back. A return of -2 after a booming 52-yard punt. 10:27 to go, second quarter from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. The Cleveland Browns trying to win the AFC Championship in the Central Division. On top of the Oilers, 10-0. Houston going for the same prize. Moon to Verhulst, his tight end. Up to the 25, throwing his feet to the 27. Here in Houston, they throw to the tight end once a month, whether they need it or not.
I think that fits into the category of gadget play when you're a Houston Oiler offense. I mean, he had 2 receptions coming in. Now he's got 3, and that's probably going to be a record for him this year. I mean, I would say that's Houston's version of the gadget, throw to the tight end. Certainly Cleveland wasn't expecting it.
Between them, the tight ends have caught 6 passes. This is the 16th game of the season.
What is that?
Big game, though, 15 yards.
There's a trend there.
Highsmith on the delayed handoff. Baker got a piece of him and then got some help from Clay Matthews.
It's interesting, Mike. The Oilers are playing it, what I think, a bit conservative. I don't necessarily agree with this style of offense. You got to do what got you here, and that's opened it up. I think their receivers are good enough, especially on this surface, to make things happen. And I think if you run a conservative offense, you take your greatest weapon out of the game. That's Warren Moon.
And Moon told us earlier this week that he thought they had to be more aggressive against the Browns this time. 2nd and 5. Rozier spun out of a tackle, dives forward to the 37. About a yard shy of a first down. 2 of the last 4 games, Rozier has fumbled the ball early and not seen much playing time after that.
And, you know, the fact that the Oilers did not score in the first quarter really isn't that exceptional. I mean, there's a team that hasn't scored but 50 points all year anyway. Michael Dean Perry jumping inside to make the play. Now, this is something you've seen from any defense coached by Bud Carson. Joe Klecko, Joe Green, all the guys who played in the 3-4, but really played off the nose of every center.
3rd down and a yard. Browns hustling personnel on and off the field. Rozier on a delayed play, and the Browns really messed it up. Clay Matthews got in there. Carl Hairston got in there. Slow developing plays on short yardage aren't successful very much.
No, they're really not. Now, Michael, look at how low Michael Dean is. See, look at how low he is. He comes out of his stance almost like a sprinter, goes by 1, 2, 3 people, and manages to just get into the backfield, and then he gets help from Matthews on the backside. But that's Michael Dean's play all the way.
In his 2nd year, Michael Dean Perry will be going to the Pro Bowl. McNeil standing at his 22, waiting on the punt of Greg Montgomery. The Browns with a full house on the line of scrimmage. Low line drive kick this time. McNeil back to the 16. Got it back to the 22-yard line. A return of 6 after a 49-yard line drive punt. Once again, Al Smith downfield to make the tackle for Houston. Nothing lead, 2nd quarter of the Astrodome. Bud Carson on your left, Jerry Glanville on your right. And Bud Carson said, the rest of the teams in this division let us get up off the floor. Maybe they let us get up 1 too many times.
This is when they started training camp at the beginning of the year, they wanted to be in a position to win the division. Through the entire 15 previous weeks, they've had opportunities to put it away. They've had opportunities to be going home. Now they're right where they want to be. It's in their destiny.
Carson's one of those guys that you always rooted for to get a head coaching job in this league because he'd always done such a brilliant job as a defensive coordinator. Mack, the single setback, flag is down. Mack was blasted by John Grimsley as he got to the 25-yard line. We'll check the penalty for you. And the Browns were offside.
No, he's going to change it.
No, now they're signaling Houston.
Offsides, defense, number 93, 5 yards, repeat, first down.
Robert Lyles just got the jump and couldn't get back.
And he knew it, too. You could see it's like, oh, gosh, I hope they don't see me.
Jerry Glanville under some pressure with a 33-31 career record here in Houston. The local media has just been bitterly devastated to the Oilers and Jerry Glanville. Barry Redden in the backfield for the Browns along with Mack. Cozart changes the play. They shift into the I. Redden, who fumbled last week, bangs across the 30 near the 32-yard line. Johnny Meads made the tackle.
You know, people probably wonder, why does a quarterback do that? Why do you call a play? What happens is in meetings, you go over certain plays. And if you've got something on, a lot of times you audibilize to get out of a very bad situation and come back to something basic that can just get you positive yardage. I believe that's what Bernie did in that instance. They had something else on. He didn't like the look, went back for something with a little positive yardage.
Redden is out. They'll go with another big backfield, Manoa and Mack. 2nd and 1. They'll try to pick up the first down. Kevin Mack still on his feet, fighting forward across the 37-yard line. Now the Browns traded Ernest Biner Mack was sentenced for cocaine possession, so they had a rookie as their only threat out of the backfield. It has really hampered the offense all year long.
But when they made the deal with the Redskins for Viner, they got Mike Oliphant, who really would have been in Eric Metcalf's situation had the Browns not taken him. But when we talked to Bud Carson last night, he felt like Kevin Mack would have been a great tailback. You know, he blocked for Viner for all those years, but he still thinks this guy's got great tailback potential.
Browns up 10-0. Trying to control the ball. The clock running. 5:14 to go in the half. Redden. Oh, this is just smash mouth football right here, up to the 40-yard line.
This is a question of, in this kind of game when people line up and go nose to nose, you're really saying that my offensive line wants to beat your defensive line. And it's a question of toughness and mental toughness. Running the football is nothing more than mental toughness and deciding you want to get it done. There's no gimmicks, no finesse there. And that's what the Browns are doing. They're physically dominating the Oilers up front.
Metcalf checks in, as does Rod Middleton, tight end. Newsom, the receiver. Middleton, a much better blocker at 255 out of Auburn. 2nd and 7. Kozar again with time, throws for McNeil. Flag is down. Steve Brown raises the arm, but Brown may be the man who's flagged.
I think he was politicking. You know, it's like, that was a great defensive play.
Defense, number 24, first down.
Steve Brown.
Houston doesn't ever get bothered by the fact that they're going to get some flags. There's Brown. He's moving up. A little out of position. Makes the turn. Yeah, there's no question. He just really got himself caught out of position bad. He anticipated, I think, the ball would be there a lot quicker. And it wasn't. Metcalf with his orange shoes. In for some work on his tires in the pits.
Those are illegal, by the way, aren't they?
Yeah, they'll get fined, but there's 6 of them out there. They'll get a letter. They wore them a couple of weeks ago, and Bud simply said, take a few weeks off, guys. Give me a break, will you?
Browns have dominated since the Oilers had an interception overturned by a penalty. Redden into Houston territory to the 47-yard line. Grimsley made the tackle, but the Browns are doing exactly what they wanted. They have the lead, they're controlling the ball, and the crowd has not been a factor at all in this one. And here's the storyline from the Astrodome. Metcalf with that 68-yard darting touchdown reception where he almost stepped out of bounds. The Browns have converted 2/3 of their third downs. The Oilers average start their own 16, and they've had 6 penalties for 37 yards. 2nd and 2 in Oiler territory. Redden. First down.
What you're starting to see is a commitment by the Oilers to bring more and more people closer to the line of scrimmage. I wouldn't be surprised in the next series or 2 where you're going to see a play action pass on 1st or 2nd down, and they're going to try and get the ball to their home run hitter, Webster Slaughter.
Well, they marked the ball only at the 44-yard line, so they will have to measure for the first down. They'll bring the chains in from the near side. And it is a first down. Clock is down to 3:22 in the first half. Now, Houston has the big play people, but if they don't have the ball, the big play people don't do them any good.
Well, the other thing is, I really feel like they've come out. They've used their 2 backs most of the time. They've tried to run the football. Last time they had the ball, they ran it 3 times straight. I don't think they're going to beat Cleveland running the football. I think they got to open. I mean, you don't want to get behind too far where you have to open the. But they're working themselves into that hole.
Rather quiet 62,000, isn't it? Matt, we can hear the pads crack. He's down to the 42-yard line. Al Smith made the tackle.
See, they're putting a patch on the tire. Put a little patch on the tire.
So easy to get turf toe.
What happens a lot of times is you wind up getting either kicked or hit. Now, it's almost like a little bone bruise. And what happens when you get it bruised is they cut out the center so that there's no pressure on it from your shoe. And so it relieves the pressure, and then you work yourself back in and get the blood flowing through, and then it'll be sore tomorrow, but you don't worry about that.
2nd and 7. Comes the blitz. Kozar with time. Got it out to Redden. He's forced out of bounds. Bubba McDowell had to hustle over from the strong safety spot. But Kozar read the blitz beautifully.
Well, you're just going to see. I think Houston's going to have to gamble. They're going to have to go after Burnett. It's going to be a question of him unloading the ball. That one he just sort of lobbed out to Barry Redden, and he makes the play. Sean Jones coming up the middle. Just lofts it out in the flat. He's such an accurate passer. I was watching him during warm-ups. It's just amazing how he places the ball exactly where it should be with every throw.
3rd and a yard from the Houston 35-yard line. This is a huge drive with the Browns already up 10-0. And the Browns will take a timeout with 2:10 to go first half. And the score, the Cleveland Browns 10, the Houston Oilers nothing. That's the Gator Bowl from Jacksonville, Florida, where they get dumped on by the weatherman this week. It's been nasty in the south.
8 inches of snow. I'll tell you, it wasn't many picnic down here in the south. 9 degrees
But
yesterday at our hotel.
It will melt in time for the Gator Bowl. Probably be 80 degrees, too. 3rd and a yard. Matt. Stuffed at the line of scrimmage. The 2 inside linebackers, Al Smith, 54, John Grimsley, 59, never got back to the line of scrimmage. It will be 4th and about 2, and we have reached the 2-minute warning at the Astrodome. Still 10-0 Browns. Bud Carson has decided to go for it on 4th and about 1.5. You like that call?
I do like the call because you're only 15 yards from the 20-yard line. What happens is if you punt it, you put it in the end zone, you're only giving up 15. You know, this is a gut check. If your football team is worth going to the playoffs, if this game means as much as it does, then you have to make this amount of yardage, and everybody out there has to know it.
Crowd comes to life. Mack and Redden are the backs. Kozar to throw. Incomplete. Flag is down. Intended for Slaughter. Let's check the flag. It was thrown in the secondary.
Here's the question, though. Is that a catchable ball?
Holding. Defense.
Well, you don't have to worry about it.
Number 54. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Al Smith.
Oh, yeah. He's hanging on to him. You know, there's no question. I mean, he just couldn't get away from the guy, and it's Al Smith gets called.
So the gamble works, and Jerry Glanville says we need to talk about this. Wants a timeout, and finally gets it.
Glanville was also signaling he thought maybe the ball was tipped. And if the ball was tipped, all bets are off.
It's open season.
Yeah, that's right. See, it never gets tipped. Never gets tipped at the line of scrimmage, and Al Smith is hanging on, so it's a good call by the official.
Redden gets a couple and dives for 4, and the flag is down again. And this thrown into the area where you have offensive holding. So the Browns, who have not made many mistakes, will have to march back 10 yards.
They haven't in this game, but they're 3rd in the league.
Holding. Offense. Number 63. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down. First down.
But they're 3rd in the league in penalties. I mean, Houston, obviously, you concede that they're going to be number 1 because that's the way it works. You'll see rising the right side of your screen, number 63. There it is. Oh, yeah, that's the underarm. That's the arm under. See, that's supposed to be a defensive tactic, but there we saw it on the offensive play.
Cody Rison may be entitled to hold every once in a while. He hurt an eye last week. He's played with knee and elbow injuries all year long. Went to the Pro Bowl a couple of years ago.
You can't convince a coach to feel that.
No. 1st and 20 now. 3 wideouts in the game. Here comes the blitz. Good protection again, and Kozar for Slaughter. Touchdown. A 40-yard touchdown pass. Webster Slaughter beat Chris Dishman.
There's one of your big play people making the play, and Chris Dishman was all over him. Only thing he didn't do was get a hand on the ball.
Webster Slaughter has killed the Oilers in the past, and he's contributing again.
And what killed Houston on that drive was the fact that they stopped him on 4th and 1 and managed to get a penalty to give him the ball back.
Webster Slaughter has already broken the Browns' single-season receiving record set by Paul Warfield. He'll be going to the Pro Bowl. Point after by Matt Barr, and the Browns have taken a commanding 17-0 lead over the Houston Oilers. And Al Smith, who was called for holding on 4th and 1. Otherwise, the ball would have been turned over on downs, but that penalty kept the drive alive, and the Browns capitalized.
There it is, 1-on-1. Chris Dishman up against Webster Slaughter. He's got a pretty good yank on him in the beginning. He's still holding on. Now, who's pushing who?
Oh.
Look at that concentration and catch, though.
Boy, Dishman was right there, and Kozar just laid it in.
It was a perfectly thrown ball and a great effort. Great effort just to get away. And look at that, right? Actually, it hits Dishman's hand. It actually lays off of Dishman's palm and winds up in Slaughter's hands for the 6.
The Browns offense has gotten healthy at just the right time with Mack back.
And there it is, the blitz that Houston has to come with, but he gets good protection.
Chris Dishman on the sideline. Excellent coverage, but came up empty. The Oilers will be getting the ball for only the 4th time in this entire half, and if they don't score, they'll have 7 points in their last 8 quarters. You can't win with 7 points in 8 quarters.
Your defense has been on the field too much as it is the first half.
17-0, a minute 45 to go. Second quarter from the Astrodome. The winner takes the AFC Central Championship.
You know, Webster Slaughter said something very interesting. When you practice against corners like Dixon and Minifield, he says, you go up against anybody else, they're not as good as the corners I practice against, so I have a little bit of an advantage.
Wagner with a booming kickoff, and White downs it 6 yards deep in the end zone. The Oilers will have to start from their own 20 with a minute 45 to go in the half.
I believe this is when the Houston Oilers get dangerous, is you forced them into a hole, you've got them backed up, but the other thing is now they got to come out with the offense that's done it for them. The red gun, they call it. It's the 3 or 4 wide receivers and Warren Moon throwing the football. I mean, Cleveland has forced Houston into doing what I think Houston does best. That's throw the ball to their wideouts.
This is the best field position the Oilers have had in this game, starting at their own 20. The numbers on Moon, 6 out of 10, only 65 yards and 1 interception. There's the timeout score. 4-man rush. Moon dumps it short. Givens. Nice move by Givens. Got to the sideline, out of bounds. To the 37-yard line, Mark Harper finally forced him out. A gain of 17, and Givens got it all by himself.
Well, and Ernest Givens is not 100%, but
no.
He's going to go down and just hook around and hook in a hole. I mean, like I say, this surface is built for these little guys. You got a big, strong-arm quarterback. There he makes the move. Winds up breaking a tackle, another tackle. Not only that, but he's very smart. Gets out of bounds to save the time.
Jerry Glanville says he's really beat up and can't run very well at all. Flag is down. Looked like someone moved early. Highsmith got away from Matthew. Big stiff arm and Highsmith to midfield. Felix Wright got stuffed right in the face, but we'll check the flag.
They're probably going to get Big Daddy Carl Hairston for jumping off sides. Certainly looked like that was the movement.
Offside. Defense, number 78. Penalty is declined. First down.
There he is, Big Daddy. 14 years. Came to the Cleveland Browns in 1984 with a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles. Another youngster still playing this game.
And even though he's the oldest player in the AFC on defense, they expect him to come back next year.
And he expects to come back.
2-minute drill. This is what the Oilers have done. They have been very good at it, and you would expect it with Warren Moon. Unload. Hill. Near the first down. It'll be just shy of the 40-yard line. And now Givens and Hill being more involved in the offense, as you said earlier.
Well, this is how they got to make their living.
Hurry up on 2nd and inches. Clock running, 1:05 to go in the half. Moon under pressure. Baker knocked the ball loose. And it bounced right back, fortunately, to Warren Moon for the Oilers.
Big Al Baker coming in from the right side. They run the twist up front. There you see Michael Dean Perry coming up the middle, but from the right side, Big Al comes in, tries to get the ball, does knock it down. Warren, it's incredible that he was able to bend down and pick it up and still have it when he hit the ground.
That was the 129th career sack for Al Baker. Chris Berman at halftime. He'll take a look at the NFL highlights today and update the playoff picture and explain all those confusing things that go on with wild card teams. And on the men who played the game, the Browns, Brian Sipe had some outstanding years in the National Football League with the Browns, and Joe will be back with an analysis of the first half.
Oilers are in 2-down territory. I think they pretty much have to go for it. Here you run the same thing you've been running. You run the hooks with Drew Hill and Ernest Givens. You know, maybe Jeffries gets the ball or Duncan, but you still have 2 timeouts. So, you know, you're at the 50-yard line. Everything is very much in Warren's control.
Center Jay Pennison twisted a knee, and George Yarno, number 66, is checked in on 3rd and 9. Flags are down. More movement. Al Baker may have gotten away with one that time. He was lined up in the neutral zone. His helmet was past the ball. You couldn't even see the ball.
Ball start. Offense simulating a snap. Penalized 5 yards. Still 3rd down.
That's Yarno.
There's a new one. Simulating a
Please
snap.
return the game clock to 55 seconds.
Trying to put 1 second back on the clock. There's Metcalf, who has obviously been tended to. And we saw a picture of that toe earlier. And they think he may be able to come back in the ball game, but limping as he goes off. Third and 14. Straight 4-man rush. Michael Dean Perry after Warren Moon. Tries to scramble. Thrown out of bounds. Chasing him down from behind. Andrew Stewart, the rookie out of Cincinnati.
Now Jerry Glanville's got a decision to make on 4th down. This is one that's tougher than Bud Carson's was before.
Sure is.
Because you got 9 yards to pick up the 1st down. If not, you give Cleveland plenty of time and not a lot of field to have to travel to put some more points on the board. And I guess in Jerry's case, what's the difference if they get 3 and go in down 20 as opposed to 17? You're going to need 3 scores at least to win it anyway.
Well, you gave up 61 last week. You're only down 17 now.
Yeah, but you only made up 7.
Oilers used their 2nd timeout with 49 seconds to go on the clock. Obviously, they're going to talk it over.
Cleveland doing a real good job on those receivers in that secondary coverage. Goodyear Blimp America is with us tonight, taking shots outside of the Astrodome complex. The America based just 20 miles north of Houston in Spring, Texas. Well, they fly around in real cold temperature. Santa and Rudolph piloting this one, getting in some practice before the big night. Rudolph got his nose ready. I think that's what I see up there in the sky. That's not the blimp's landing lights. It's Rudolph's nose. And the Oilers are going to go for it on 4th and 8 from the Browns, 48-yard line. Metcalf, we are told, being x-rayed in the locker room.
Baker jumps early. The penalty will be against Cleveland. Pass over the middle, complete to Gibbons down to the 31. It's a first down. We will check the flag. But Al Baker a little quick on that one.
What happens here is with the penalty, Mike, the clock gets stopped for Houston. That's good for them. It's bad for Cleveland. Now they can go to their hurry up without having to worry about the clock continuing to run.
Offsides. Defense, number 60. Penalty is declined. First down.
See, what in essence happens is Cleveland really gives them an extra timeout by doing that. Now, Al Baker is the ultimate politicker in the National Football League. He talks to everybody all the time out there.
Warren Moon has hit 7 straight passes. Comes the blitz. Moon unloads. Hill. Very close to another first down at the 20-yard line. Felix Wright took him out of bounds.
And there you saw Cleveland gambling a little bit now to try and come after Warren with the blitz. But when you're in the shotgun and you've got the release of a Warren Moon, you're just not going to get there, even if you're a free runner. Clay Matthews comes outside. Good job by Alan Pinkett. And there you saw Mark Harper come from the left side and just not get close enough.
Moon now 11 out of 15, 131 yards as Drew Hill and Ernest Gibbons become more involved in this passing offense in the hurry-up. 37 seconds to go in the half. Catch at the sideline at the 8-yard line. Now they say out of bounds, intended for Drew Hill.
Now Jeffries is going up the field. There's Jeffries. You know, he's throwing this ball. I don't know. I think he's throwing this ball to Jeffries. And Drew Hill just happened to show up. And his foot just does land out of bounds. That's another good call by that officiating crew. Not like here in Houston, but it's a good call.
Ball spotted at the 20. 2nd and 10 with 32 seconds to go. Tom Gibson, number 71 out of Northern Arizona, in on the Cleveland Brown pass rush. Moon guns this one. Gibbons wrapped up at the 12-yard line. Good job by Mark Harper. Clock running, and now they stop it with 22 seconds left. Oilers have used their last timeout and will face a 3rd and 1.
I think what you do here is you run your wide open offense, run that little sprint draw possibly, pick up the first down, line up, throw it in the ground. It's going to give you probably 15 seconds, which will give them 2 shots to get the ball in the end zone. So you're going to get 2 more plays before you throw an incomplete and wind up trying to kick the field goal.
Let's go back to the call on 4th and long, and they went for it from the 47. You know the way the media has been here in Houston. If they fail on that one, they're going to crucify Jerry Glanville, but this could be a real key to the ball game.
How many times can you kill a guy? I think that's Jerry Glanville's theory. I mean, this morning he said he was putting together a little dinosaur with his son Justin, and his son said, "Hey, Dad, they just fired you. They gave you another job in Atlanta, but they fired you here." He says, "Well, son, you got to look at it this way. At least we got another job." I mean, they've had him gone and dead. This man has done a lot for Oilers football. And I think what you have to look at is really what he lost was June Jones as offensive coordinator. And that's why it's been so tough for their offense to get on track.
3rd and a yard. They're in the shotgun. Matthews came on a blitz. The pass just behind Harris. Incomplete. Clay Matthews putting the heat on.
Jeffries will go down. There it is, Harris. He's going to make the move outside. That ball just thrown behind. Warren Moon wishes he had that one back.
On 4th and a yard with 18 seconds to go, Zendejas will come on to try the field goal.
And Houston needs these 3 points.
Zendejas has missed 3 of his last 5 after making 8 straight. He's a better kicker than that career, about 80%. This will be a 30-yard attempt, and he got it. Tony Zendejas out of Nevada, Reno. And as we look back on the 4th and long from the Browns 47, that could turn out to be a critical 3-point.
It really is. Now they're just 2 touchdowns down. Like I said before, what they've got to do is they've got to line up in that red gun of theirs and just put the ball up in the air. I felt like they came out way too conservative in the first half, trying to run the ball and keep it close, and it's just not Houston Oilers' nature.
Game day coming up tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. That's Eastern Time. Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, Fred Edelstein. Pete Axtell won't be there. Pete's still suffering the effects of a terrible case of the flu. Pete, if you're watching at home, we certainly hope you get better soon. Then NFL primetime at 7 o'clock, highlights of the wild card games. And John Saunders with Chris, Tom, and Pete. Didn't know the wild card games were tomorrow. Somebody's a week ahead of this. The Oilers down 17-3 with 14 seconds to go.
In that drive, Mike, it seemed to me like Cleveland got back on their heels a little bit. It looked like Houston was sort of throwing some punches and backing them up. They have to feel like they accomplished something by keeping them out of the end zone. But what they saw is, I think, what they're going to get a lot of the second half.
This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League and intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use without the express written consent of the National Football League is prohibited. Zendejas to kick off. McNeil waiting just inside the 10-yard line. Better kick this time. Drives McNeil all the way back to the 3. Starts out to the 23-yard line. That will leave 10 seconds to go in the half. Scoring drive, 69 yards, and Zendejas finished it off with a 30-yard field goal. Warren Moon sparkling through most of that drive.
What's amazing when you look at that stat, 12 plays in only a minute and 31 seconds. That's what they're capable of doing, and that's why the Browns have tried to control the ball to keep that Oiler offense off the field.
Only 10 seconds to go. I would be very surprised if Bud Carson does anything but run this into the line.
No, you know, when you come out and you know you got your flanker lined up 15 yards from the ball, Bernie's going to take this and kneel down and go trot into the halftime happy with the 14-point lead.
The Browns have been superb on both offense and defense. Now we've got a flag down. Thrown back about 13 yards from the line of scrimmage, and you wonder what could have happened back there.
Dick Hantak sort of smiling and saying, "You got to be kidding me."
Delay. Defense had 12 men on the field. Will penalize 5 yards and repeat the down. First down.
Cleveland could have refused that penalty and gone in. See?
Okay.
I mean, it's like, you know, why take another snap?
And there's what the Oilers have been penalized tonight 9 times.
Maybe trying to pad their record.
And Bernie will kneel down. That will be the end of the first half. A game that has been dominated by big plays in the Cleveland Browns on both sides of the ball. With Chris Berman.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. But we do know now that the Oilers have tacked on a field goal for the first time all year long on a Saturday in the NFL. You can't say to at least one team, have another donut, because 2 Saturday shutouts a week ago, 2 Saturday shutouts today. We're glad on ESPN both teams could finally score in a Saturday ball game. As this game is going to settle the AFC Central, earlier today, the Buffalo Bills had a chance to settle the AFC East. Now, back in '63, the Bills played at the Titans at the Polo Grounds. Only 5,000 friends and relatives showed up. Why do we bring that up? Lowest non-replacement Jet crowd since then, 21,000. They knew what was going to happen. Andre Reed caught 6 passes. Bills led it 10-0 at the half. Jim Kelly, 2 third-quarter touchdown passes in the frigid temperatures of the Meadowlands. James Lofton has played in cold weather before. He caught one. Everybody gets to the act. Kenneth Davis, a touchdown. 441 yards total offense. The Bills bouncing back in a big way. And perhaps Joe Wolf exiting in a quiet way. Bills win the East, beating the Jets 37-0. In Seattle, the last game for the venerable Steve Largent. Standing 0 in the Kingdome as the Seahawks face the Redskins. But the passing day belonged to Mark Rippon and the Skins. 3 Skins receivers over 1,000 yards. One of them, Gary Clark, 44-yard touchdown right there. He caught 9 on the day. Dave Craig, sacked for a safety by Fred Stokes. Skins win it 29-0. And Seattle fans say so long to one of the best. Steve Largent, 2 catches today for 41 yards. And the Redskins end up undefeated in December. Steve Largent ends up now. These are Steve Largent's numbers that every receiver who plays the game will going to have to try and catch. 177 straight games of the reception, 819 catches, 13,089 yards, 100 touchdown catches. Steve Largent, class all the way, record holder many, many times over. So Seahawks earlier when Buffalo won were eliminated from the playoffs. We thought we'd have more playoff answers for you on the final Saturday of the season. We don't, but class, pull up a chair. We're going to try and give you a short lecture on what's going on. You've known for a while the Niners have home field as long as they stay alive in the NFC playoffs. The Giants have clinched at least a wild card berth. They win tomorrow, they win the NFC East. Denver is home as long as they stay alive in the AFC playoffs. Buffalo, now champs of the AFC East. These teams are in. In the NFC, wins coming up either tomorrow or Monday night. These teams get in. Philadelphia might still win the division, clinches at least a wild card with a win tomorrow. Minnesota wins the NFC Central with a win Monday night against the Bengals. Rams clinch a wild card berth with a win at very cold New England tomorrow afternoon. The Browns, of course, leading the Oilers 17-3. Winner in our game tonight wins the AFC Central. If the Colts win at New Orleans tomorrow, they will be one of the AFC wildcard teams. If they lose, they're gone. No middle ground. Teams that need help. The Packers. Now, as funny as it may sound, the Redskin win keeps alive all their possible scenarios, at least until tomorrow, to get in the playoffs. They win at Dallas. Minnesota loses Monday night. They win the division. They can get to a wild card spot if the Eagles or Rams lose tomorrow and the Packers win. Miami gets bad news because if Cleveland wins tonight, the Dolphins mathematically gone from a playoff shot. They need the Oilers to win tonight, and then they need the Colts and Pittsburgh to lose while Miami wins. So Miami not enjoying this so far. Cincinnati, many scenarios. They win at Minnesota on Monday night. 2 of the 3 teams you see right there must lose. Or, if Miami, Indianapolis, and the Raiders, 2 of those 3 teams win, the Bengals need a Pittsburgh win and a Houston loss tonight. That involves a conference tiebreaker. I don't have a spare 10 minutes. Bengals hope they're still alive when they take the field Monday night. The Steelers, wouldn't it be wild if they made a wild card berth? They're at Tampa Bay. If they win, and if Cleveland wins, Raiders, Cincy, and Indy must lose. Or, if Houston wins tonight, Cincy and Indianapolis must lose. But the Steelers have a good shot. Raiders are at the Giants tomorrow. They may know tonight if they control their own destiny. That would be if Cleveland loses. Otherwise, Cleveland wins tonight. The Raiders have got to win, and they've got to hope that the Colts lose. And Kansas City, they're at Miami tomorrow. If Indianapolis wins, these other 3 teams must all lose. And if the Colts lose tomorrow, Cincy, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and the Raiders, 3 of the 4 must lose. And, of course, Kansas City must also win. Now, we're going to have a quiz on all of this on game day tomorrow morning, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We hope you join us. Browns over the Oilers in the first half, 17-3. Halftime continues in a moment. The last few years, the Cleveland Browns have had a heck of a shot to make it to the Super Bowl. 9 years ago, in 1980, Brian Sipe was the architect of a ball club that almost made it to what they called the Cypher Bowl. Didn't quite make it. Now, Sipe is out of football now, but he's still trying to design winners. Jeff Kay explains.
I know when I left high school, under future plans, under your senior picture, I had put architecture. I never really thought about that much. I never really actively pursued it in college, although I never lost an interest in it. I don't think there was a time that I traveled with the Browns where by the time we went back into the locker room after our warm-ups in the stadium, at least have a good theory on how the stadium was built, what kept it standing up. It was just a curiosity of mine. It's been that way all of my life. Design has always been important to me.
In Cleveland, Brian Sipe's unique architect's perspective turned the X's and O's in the Browns' playbook into winning offensive blueprints.
I had to visualize a play three-dimensionally. I mean, that's what passing's all about. It's pushed out over space and distances. And I think if I hadn't had that ability, the ability to be able to see things three-dimensionally and move through spaces with my mind like I do when I'm designing a home, that I wouldn't have been effective as a quarterback. That's something that doesn't come naturally to some people. I know when I work on design with some people, they can't see or work three-dimensionally. Everything appears flat in their life.
Which is certainly not the case for Sipes design partners, whose carefully drawn visions illustrate every detail of the multi-million-dollar homes they build.
These pieces are about 24 inches long.
We're creating something special here. The group I work with, we only do special things. We're not interested in wham, bam, get it out the door kind of stuff. We create works of art. In fact, my title as VP Operations means that I take these designs from this office and I take them into the field and make sure that they're implemented properly.
The part that I'm curious about is how we can make this appear to be a tight joint. We're going to have to get kind of tricky to do that.
There's just a myriad of decisions and details that can't be handled at the design level that require some massaging on the job.
You got it. You got it. That's it.
Turning X's and O's into touchdowns was easy. Turning complex designs into functional dream houses requires a different kind of vision.
Hello, Peter.
There's rules, there's sort of axioms about how to do it and do it right, so that the circulation works, the spaces in the rooms work, the light's coming from the right place, the sun, what it's going to be like in the wintertime, where's the wind, what do we want to turn our back to, where do we want to orient our living. A lot of things that clients really can't appreciate and aren't aware of. All they know is that when they're in it, it feels good.
19 rooms with a view, palatial splendor in the making, and it all begins with a winning design.
What's great about this business is that the finished product, it's alive. Of the 7 arts, architecture is the most fascinating to me because it's one we live with. We live in it. It surrounds us. It affects our lives daily. And to see things come 2-dimensionally off of paper and see it happen 3-dimensionally and touch it and feel it, stand under it, and get out of the rain in it, it can be magical. And I don't think I'll ever get tired of it.
Nice place. Astrodome, a nice place for the Browns thus far. They lead at 17-3. And the teams met in October. Houston owned the first half and lost the game. Will they turn the tables?
Our score at halftime at the Astrodome. The Browns are leading the Houston Oilers 17-3. On the line, the AFC Central Division Championship. Welcome back to the Astrodome, everybody. A record crowd of more than 62,000. They haven't had a lot to cheer about so far, most of them Houston fans. But, Joe, I asked you at the beginning of the telecast what the key was to winning a game that's this big, and you said it was the big play people, and certainly for Cleveland, they've come through.
It certainly isn't trickery. It's not the system. And what you'll see in this replay is Eric Metcalf making his touchdown run of 68 yards. Now, here he just puts a great move on Kenny Johnson. This has almost become a classic Metcalf style. Get the high knee up and make the turn down the sidelines. Now he'll come on and put another move on Patrick Allen right here to cut back in as he heads up the field. Sets up his blockers real well, gets away from Allen, and then cruises on into the end zone. He was one guy that only touched the ball last week 4 times. Granted, it was a different situation because the turf out there was frozen in Cleveland. He likes this surface. The next one is Webster Slaughter. He's your big play receiver. On this one, Chris Dishman actually has the ball, hit his hand right there, and ricochet into Slaughter's. He shows great concentration and does his classic spike in the end zone. Everybody's become classic something after they score touchdowns now. And this is the formation that Houston's got to use. The 4 wide receivers, the red gun as they call it. Whether it's having 2 on each side or moving across in motion, that's what they're going to need to get back into the game. Here you're going to see a completion to Drew Hill. It forces Cleveland to do a different style of football. It means that they got to play 6 defensive backs, and that means that they may not be able to stop the run as well either. Houston's got to open it up, and Cleveland's got to do what they've been doing.
Look for the Oilers to come out throwing in the second half, and we'll be back with the kickoff in just a moment. We're in a sold-out Astrodome where the Browns are leading the Oilers 17-3 after 1 half of football. And the Browns will kick off to start the 3rd quarter. That's Brian Wagner. And Lorenzo White is waiting at the goal line. Another good kick by Wagner. A yard deep. Now Nice return by Lorenzo White. Got it up to the 28-yard line. Officially a 29-yard return. Here are the halftime statistics. Total yardage just slightly in favor of Cleveland, Joe.
Well, when you see, and nothing really jumps out at you. What is lost in these statistics is the turnover. The big turnover when Warren Moon had his team driving after the first possession, wound up putting it down in the end zone, and also the lost turnover and the penalty on 4th down. Those are three things that don't jump out. But there's the sacks. I mean, the Oilers doing a good job, but time of possession gone in Cleveland's favor. As a matter of fact, this whole first half, if Bud Carson was asked, how did it go, he'd say exactly the way I wanted it to.
The Oilers start out of the shotgun, and we won't get off the first play without a discussion. And the Browns have called a timeout. What a heck of a way to start the half on defense.
I think this could be a first for me. I don't think I've ever seen a team call a timeout after a kickoff of the second half. I mean, everybody should know what they're doing.
Mike Johnson, the middle linebacker, talking to him. Metcalf is questionable as to his return. He has a bruised left foot.
Well, now, the reason they did that, now, I've never seen it happen, but here's part of the reason why. Houston's lined up with their 4 wide receivers. What Cleveland had on the field were too many linebackers. Now they've got their defensive backs in. Now they feel like they can match up against their shotgun better.
Warren Moon, who told us earlier in the week he felt they had to be more aggressive on offense to beat Cleveland this time. They were not in the first half. But they come out in their red gun to start the third period. Moon with a screen. Pinkett couldn't handle it. That one was a little hot.
Well, it had to be because he was getting pressured by Baker. But Clay Matthews read it absolutely perfectly, and it's almost a good thing Alan Pinkett didn't catch it because it would have been 2nd down and 15 instead of 2nd and 10. You're supposed to count 1 1,000, 2 1,000. Al Baker's in there a little bit early. But there you see Michael Dean Perry in pursuit and then Clay Matthews.
It is amazing how often Clay Matthews is right where he's supposed to be on plays that are very big in a game. I mean, he is just a great player.
On the defensive side, he's what you would consider a big play guy. He's also, I mean, you look at the linebackers of the Browns. I mean, you know, he's 245. Mike Johnson's 230. And Van Waders is 245. I mean, you're talking about some big, heavy-duty people.
Matthews, a rarity. They are trying to reset the clock. Matthews is a rarity because he's a linebacker that plays on every down. He's also in there on 3rd down pass coverage. And now in this situation where you have all your pass coverage people in there anyway. And now we are waiting on the clock operator to reset the play clock. Jay Pennison, by the way, back in at center for the Oilers. He was injured in the 2nd quarter.
Of course, we'll keep you updated on Eric Metcalf. He went in for some x-rays at halftime. We saw him working on the left side of his left foot. See possibly what might have happened there. Biggest complaint by the quick little guys on this surface is turf toe. And that's when you stop real quick and you jam your toe into the end of your shoe or into the end of the turf. That's what bothers him the most.
Finally able to reset the play clock to 30 seconds. Then get it down to 28, and it stopped again, and here come the officials again.
Second clock off. We will keep the 30-second count on the field. Please turn the 30-second clock off. It is inoperable. We will keep the 30 seconds on the field.
That's it. Well, that's like when your TV didn't work. You bang it.
Thank you.
I mean, you know, what does that cost? $8 million or something like that?
If you can't, you remember the old line, if you can't fix it, get a bigger hammer.
Well, or turn it off. That's what happens, you know, and then call somebody to come in and try and fix it. They're going to keep it on the field. Now, I got to be honest with you, this is not an advantage to a quarterback.
No.
Although, with Houston in this style of offense, it doesn't take them but 20, 25 seconds to get it off. But not having the visual ability to see how close you are could cost you valuable yardage.
2nd and 10 as we go back to action for the Oilers. Comes the blitz. Moon with good protection and fires complete to Hill. First down. Tony Blaylock on the stop. The Oilers in the first half of play. First drive, 57 yards, but it was stopped by an interception. The next two drives they had to punt the football. And finally, after a courageous 12-play drive that covered 69 yards, they got their only points in the first half on a field goal. Moon, far sideline, Duncan. He's driven out by Minifield. Duncan out of Northwestern, a 10th round draft choice in 1987.
When you're the quarterback, what you're looking for is when you line up with 4 wide receivers, you feel very confident that they can only cover so many guys with 2 people. So what you're looking for is you're looking for that one-on-one coverage. That time they had 3 receivers to the left, Duncan to the right. Moon saw the single coverage, let it go out to the single covered man.
Left tackle might be a spot to keep an eye on. Bruce Davis is out of there. Don Maggs, number 78, has checked in. Delay to Highsmith, and Al Baker wasn't fooled for a second. Baker has had quite a game. 12 years out of Colorado State. He was unprotected by the Vikings. Of course, they had a great defensive line. No place for Baker to play.
Well, he's done a good job here. Goes outside of Dean Steinkuhler and just sits there for the delay, hoping he'd come up the field a little bit more. But the thing that a defensive lineman reads, he reads how easily he gets by the offensive tackle. If this guy only throws a little shoulder at him and just nicks him, he says, no, something's not right here. It's not this easy.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be that easy.
No, it doesn't happen.
Oilers have thrown the ball twice as many times as they've rushed it, and they may not rush it very many times the rest of the night. Although here on 3rd and 2, let's see. Play action. Moon wide open, hits his tight end, Chris Burholt. That is his second catch of the night. He had caught 2 the entire year coming in here. And like you say, for the Oilers, that's a trick play.
Yeah, sure. That's their version of the gadget. This is a good call. A little play action. You'll see the flow of the backs to the left. And there, look at Matthews commit to come to the line. Tight end moves on down the field. Does a good job of protecting. For a guy who doesn't handle the ball a lot, he really does a good job hanging on.
The Oilers have reached the Browns 30. Remember, they're down 17-3. Blitz. Moon, too high, intended for Hill. Blaylock on the coverage.
And Felix Wright was looking for his second one of the afternoon. He was backing everybody up. Blaylock trailing right back there, playing center fielder, waiting for balls to bounce off of people. There's Wright in the middle of the field, just reading the eyes. Now that was caused by the drop of the linebacker, Mike Johnson.
Baker unloaded on Moon just as he let go. 2nd and 10. Moon changing the play. Going to the end zone, Duncan overthrown. Had Minifield and Thane Gash both back with him.
Boy, he knew what he had, too. He knew he had Minifield one-on-one, and he knew Duncan could get by him. Frank Minifield right up in Duncan's face. Good move right at the line of scrimmage. Takes the inside release, and there you see him hanging onto his shirt, and that's what Duncan was screaming about. Now he knows he's not going to catch up, but he's certainly going to go hunt up the referee as quick as he can. There he goes. Come on. Frank says, no. Don't do that. Don't tell him anything. It's between me and you. Let's keep it personal.
3rd and 10. Comes the blitz. Matthews coming again. Chases Moon out of the pocket. Moon got rid of it to Highsmith. Highsmith to the 15-yard line. What a play by Warren Moon. Looked like Clay Matthews had him dead to rights.
Unbelievable. Clay Matthews can run, but look at it. He doesn't have time to turn. He barely gets the ball up and shot puts it out to Highsmith, who makes the reception. Good block by Jeffries, sort of getting in the way of people, and Highsmith makes the play. That's the old move by the quarterback, the spinner. But look at this. He just really shot puts it out. Now, Jeffries real close to getting himself in trouble with a push in the back.
Pushed hand for Dixon, but it's a first down at the Browns' 15-yard line. Moon won't get away this time. Brought down by Robert Banks, the former Oiler. You don't think he loves this?
He knows what it's like to play here, and he knows what it's like to go after Warren Moon. That's one thing about guys that play on the defensive line or linebackers that are traded away. They know the instinctive moves of the quarterback. Mine was always flush to the left.
This team lost 15 Plan B free agents. It was one of the deepest teams in all of football. And Jerry Glanville lost a lot of that depth this year. 2nd and 14. Moon under center. Wide open Pinkett. Fights forward, gets to the 10-yard line. They have to get just inside the 5 for a first down. Felix Wright made the tackle.
You know, penalties in a game are one thing, but this is where you really have to go in the huddle. When you've got an emotion-packed game like this one is, you have to make sure that your people keep cool heads. Because right now, you don't want to get a cheap 15-yard piling on, push into the head kind of penalty and kill your offensive drive.
Inside the 20, the Oilers have struggled in the lower 25% of the league. They've had one shot at it tonight and failed. Pinkett the single setback with Moon in the shotgun. Moon over the middle, Hill, touchdown. Drew Hill, who has had a broken bone in his back this year. It has not been his best season, but he comes through in the clutch.
Left side of your screen, you see Warren Moon change the play. He changes actually the protection for Pinkett. Half roll to the right and just flat fires it to Drew Hill. Oh, and Tito, a beautiful job against Tony Blaylock. Gets inside for the 6.
Zendejas to make it a 7-point game. Drew Hill cuts the lead to 7 as you see Jerry Glanville celebrate the score. Drew Hill's catchable. Warren Moon bullet has made this a 7-point game. The AFC Central Division Championship on the line. The loser tonight may make the playoffs, but they need help from other teams. And by the way, that was Warren Moon's 100th career touchdown pass. Zendejas to kick off. McNeil at the 6. Down at the 16. Eugene Seal, the hero of the special team, was there to make the tackle. Guy's a killer on special teams.
He has been, and this is the thing. When Jerry Glanville said that his football team got decimated by Plan B, he felt like the special teams lost some of its character, but it didn't lose its character. That's what's known as putting your face on the ball. Coaches preach and teach that if you're a linebacker. Put your face on the ball. Eugene Seal put not only his face, but his arm and his body on Gerald McNeil.
And that is Seal at 250 against McNeil at 142. That's like being hit by 2 people. Kosar sends red and wide. Kosar to Langhorne. busted out of bounds by Steve Brown. The Browns in the first half had the football 5 times and did an excellent job with it. First drive resulted in the 32-yard field goal. Then Metcalf, with his brilliant run, capped a 76-yard drive. There was the one punt they have. Webster Slaughter got a touchdown on that drive, and then the half ended after only one play. A huge series here. The Browns trying to respond to the touchdown. The Oilers trying to come after them on defense. Kozar threw that one away. He wanted no part of the double coverage on his short receiver.
Well, he knows what's happening. He tried to go to the tight end. That time he just smoked one into the ground. Of course, he wasn't being threatened too closely of being sacked, so it wasn't intentional grounding.
3rd and 6. Kozar only 26 years old, even though this is his 5th year in the league. Just done an exceptional job for the Browns. Kozar to run, and he stopped shy of the first down. Brown came up in the secondary along with Lyles and Eric Fair. They have waited for the Oilers to win a divisional championship since 1967, and they have showed up 62,000 strong tonight.
And they waited the whole first half for the Oilers to start playing their kind of football, and they're getting it now.
Kenny Johnson waits at the 40 for Brian Wagner's punt. The Oilers came hard, didn't get there. Johnson, no fair catch, and he pays for it. 34-yard punt, no return, but great field position for the Oilers. They'll start from their own 40. The third quarter between Bud Carson and Jerry Glanville. Two guys who like each other and respect each other.
They really do. And, you know, Jerry Glanville, here's a guy who played everybody in last week's game against Cincinnati. He simply said that he wanted every player on his team to be able to feel like they were a part of not only the best that the Oilers have seen, but the worst. So everybody on that ball club took part so that they can appreciate going out and trying to win. He probably just told them at halftime, look, guys, there is no more tomorrow. You've got to do it now. And they're responding.
Who do you think Sam Weiss is rooting for? You don't even get a guess on that. Best starting position of the night for the Oilers. And Hairston jumps. The center is George Yarno. Jay Pennison has a knee bruise, may or may not return. And Hairston jumped across on Yarno.
Encroachment, defense, number 78, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Here's what the quarterback can do for you. If you give the hard enough putt, Big Daddy, been around a long time, but still wants to get a piece of Warren Moon, but he's got to wait till the ball snapped legally.
This crowd was absolutely no factor in the first half, but they're in it now. Moon sidesteps the rush, completes the pass. That should be enough for the first down. Once again, Hill covered by Harper.
On that particular play, Mike, you had everybody on the field communicating something. All of the Cleveland Browns turned to one another, signaled a little bit. All the Houston Oilers signaled a little bit. Now, Cleveland goes into the zone, and Drew Hill just finds a vacant spot. Looks to try and get a throwing lane for Warren Moon, give him a chance to see him, and then he just drills him.
On pass protection, at least, the Oiler offensive line has done a good job against Michael Dean Perry. The 45-second clock back in operation now. The quarterbacks can see that. Moon to Duncan. Nice move by Duncan. Has the first down and more. Thrown out of bounds at the 32-yard line. Tony Blaylock had to drag him out of bounds.
Frank Minifield changing up his coverage a little bit. Normally he likes to play bump and run, get on people's faces. This time he's not. Duncan runs a little 5-yard hitch, makes the move outside, inside. Blaylock makes the tackle and takes him out of bounds, but not until after a big game.
Oilers this half have run the ball one time, and it may be the last one we'll see. Moon deep over the middle. Gibbons can't hold it. Broken up by Wright and Minifield. And Wright, playing center field, got there at the right time.
I had a chance to visit with Felix Wright in his room this afternoon, and he simply said, Warren Moon's going to try and look me off, but I know where his receivers are going, and I'm going to be there. And there he is. Boy, he puts a helmet right in Gibbons' side. Ernest coming back with a little bit sore. Right there. Look at the shot. These guys have played against each other so much. You know, they know where the ball's going to be. You just got to, you got to make tough big catches.
And Gibbons comes up holding the ribs. That's where the helmet's stuck. 2nd and 10, Pinkett. Matthews wraps him up as he got to the 31-yard line. Well, every time I have seen the Browns play this year, I have been tremendously impressed by their defense. They are just sensational.
Well, you got to remember who the head man is, too. Bud Carson, he is their coordinator. He's the guy that gets involved, and he's the guy that makes it happen for him.
Drew Hill is hurt. You remember, Gibbons came off injured just a moment ago. These are the two big guns. We have a timeout on the field. We will check on both Drew Hill and Ernest Gibbons when we come back. It's a 7-point game, third quarter. Drew Hill on the sideline looks like he'll be fine. Ernest Gibbons, hurt the play before, is back on the field. Hill ran into his own man trying to block on the running play.
Yeah, Bruce Matthews ran into him now. Drew's got to say to himself, all right, I tried to block once, that's it. You're not going to see me in there again.
3rd and 8 with Hill on the sideline. Incomplete, knocked away in the end zone. A flag is down. Intended for Gibbons. Blaylock knocked it away.
There you see the defensive backs of the Browns politic, and they want to know what's going on, too. You have to put up a little one of those police barricades around for the referee so they get a chance to have a discussion.
There is no foul on the play.
Then why was there a flag?
No foul on the play.
Did it just fall out of his pocket?
That's a good question.
I don't understand that one. Something happened. I guess it just fell out of his pocket. There they are running side by side down the field. Now, what I wonder, that's a great throw by Warren Moon, but if there was no flag on the field, what was that yellow thing laying out there, Mike?
Looked like a flag to me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So down 17-10, Zendejas will try a long field goal, 48 yards. It will be. He has 2 over 50 this year. Won't make it. Zendejas comes up short.
That one got blocked at the line.
Somebody got a hand on it.
Blaine Matthews blocked that one.
Browns ball when we come back.
last week it was a fake field goal. Now right here, Clay Matthews will come in from the left side of your screen, put pressure up, get the left hand up in the air, and deflect this ball that Zendejas tries to kick through from a long way out. Now, you know, they talk about soccer kickers kicking the ball low, but in that case, it doesn't matter. That was just great penetration.
Matthews will be going back to the Pro Bowl again. Browns take over at the 30. Kozar throws to Mack, and Grimsley took him apart.
They're not taking any prisoners out there tonight.
Oh, what a shot. There's a flag down.
It's going to be against Houston for holding.
Holding. Defense, number 93. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Robert Lyles and the Oilers are piling up the penalty minutes in this one. Watch Grimsley on this hit.
Well, Mack's trying to make a play. He just lowers his shoulder.
Oh. That's why they call it the House of Pain. Mack lowers his shoulder, drives for 4, gets up to the 39-yard line. Here's the way the scoring has gone. Barr with a 32-yard field goal. First quarter made it 3-0. Browns extended the lead to 10-0 when Metcalf ran 61 yards after taking a 7-yard pass from Kozar. Then Kozar to Webster Slaughter. That made it 17-0. But the Oilers have come back. Zendejas from 30 yards, Moon to Hill for the touchdown. And that's where we stand. Kozar sidearms it. Brennan can't hold it at the 49. Bernie threaded that one.
Brennan works the inside of the slot and just sits down. There's the coverage. Bubba McDowell right in his hip pocket. And that one sneaks away from Brennan and McDowell.
Last score we had, of course, Hill with the touchdown reception to make it 17-10. 3rd and 7 for the Browns. They're up by a touchdown with 6:40 to go, third quarter. Blitz, and they got him. Lyles. The second sack of the season for Robert Lyles and the first for the Oilers tonight on Bernie Kozar.
Cleveland practices a silent count. They have a thing called the whisper count in practice. And that means that only Bernie and the center know. There he lifts his foot, which is an indication to the center that you snap it when you're ready. I'm back here waiting on you. But there comes Sean Jones. Manoa has to pick him up. But from the inside on the left side comes Lyles. From the other side, they get pressure by Fairs.
Kenny Johnson waiting on Brian Wagner's punt. Here comes the rush again. What a kick. And the Browns with excellent coverage. And a flag is down. 47-yard punt, 4-yard return. Of course, the one thing you give up when you come after the punter is blocking for the return man.
Well, and that's what since they changed the rule, Jerry Glanville has said if it's more than 5 yards, I'll take my chances. And the rule being, if you run into the kicker, it's only 5 yards, not an automatic first down. If you rough him, then he takes his guys. He says, hey, don't maul him.
Illegal block on return, number 56, 10-yard penalty, first down.
And that's what he tries to avoid. That was the other thing that Jerry Glanville said. If you set up returns, you're going to wind up with penalties and be 10 yards further back. Now here comes one on the left side of your screen. You see the block. Now what he's doing down there, he's trying to help his teammate out, but it's not doing any good. That's Scott Kozak. It's a rookie out of Oregon. He'll learn Jerry's system soon enough. Good effort, good try, but you just don't want to give up that valuable real estate.
The Oilers push back to their 18-yard line. That is the 11th penalty against the Houston Oilers tonight. It has cost them 72 yards. Drew Hill is back in the game. 4 wide receivers for Warren Moon. Matthews gets the sack at the 8-yard line. The big play man.
Well, what they try and do here with Clay Matthews is Cleveland plays 4 down linemen. Houston blocks 5 people. What happens is he believes, Bud Carson does, he believes that if you rush 5, that you get one-on-one guys blocking. Now, offensive linemen cannot block defensive linemen one-on-one. There's the twist by Michael Dean, and there he just flat runs over Munchak. It's tough for an offensive lineman to block a defensive guy one-on-one nowadays.
Pennison back in there at center on 2nd and 19. Jump to Highsmith. Matthews got there along with Thane Gash, who made the initial hit. Gash playing with a neck and a shoulder injury. And a little slow to get up. He either has the biggest pads or the biggest shoulders I've ever seen.
Probably got both. Probably got the big pads and the big shoulders. He has to, because the way Bud Carson has designed this defense against the Oilers when they use their 4 wide receivers, he has to assume the position of a linebacker as well as a defensive back. So, you know, he's got the linebacker pads and probably the defensive back neck.
He won the free safety spot during training camp. This is 3rd and 8 here. In between receivers, Jeffries came in, Givens went deep, and Moon split the difference. Punting down for the Oilers with 4:38 to go in the 3rd period.
This is what happens going down the field. Now, there's the initial contact. Look at the job Blaylock's doing on Drew Hill at the line of scrimmage. He's doing such a good job, he's almost torn his jersey off him. But gets away with it.
Montgomery to punt to McNeil. The Browns came after Montgomery last time. Had a tremendous season punting the football. Beautiful high spiral. McNeil to 35, fair catch. 44-yard punt, no return. Hope you'll be with us Sunday, February 4th. The AFC-NFC Pro Bowl from Honolulu, 8 o'clock Eastern. And that's the game we determined that we had to go over 2 weeks early to get ready for.
I was thinking of leaving now.
Yeah. And the Browns will have Webster Slaughter, Michael Dean Perry, the 2nd-year player, Clay Matthews and Frank Minifield, who are used to going to Honolulu for this affair. The Oilers had 3, Warren Moon, Mike Munchak, and Bruce Matthews, their guards. Browns football at the 35-yard line. Redden, the deep man in the eye behind Mack. Redden gets a carry. Nice block by Mack. And Redden picks up 4 to his own 39.
Cleveland has got to try and get back into their rhythm, and their rhythm has been running the ball like this, trying to get the big guys up front to push around that Houston front 5 and 6. And they have got to try and take this crowd back out of the game a little bit like they did in the first half. So one thing that Bud Carson really stressed to us is that you just got to get out in front and keep this place a little quiet so you can communicate.
With the lack of running backs and Kozar not being Kozar with that bad elbow, the offense has suffered. The defense has kept the Browns in it all year. Kozar communicating to everybody again. Manoa in the backfield with a Redden this time. Redden on the toss. Well, once again, John Grimsley with the big hit. He's 238 pounds out of Kentucky.
These linebackers, Houston's defense just flat sells out on every play. I mean, they look for the ball, they find it. Watch Grimsley flow. He comes from the right side of your screen, and he's just heading for something warm and with the ball, and he's going to run over it.
First meeting between these teams, the Browns killed the Oilers with trick plays. They have faked 2 trick plays tonight. They haven't gone for one. 3rd and 4. Blitz. Kozar to Langhorne, and he beat Allen inside and has a first down.
Houston deciding that they want to come after him. He just steps right up and fires the ball. Perfectly thrown ball. Low, down around the belly of the receiver so he can protect himself from the defensive back. Making the reception for the first down.
Langhorne had a sensational game a week ago. 140 yards on 6 catches against the Vikings. Smith after Kozar, he completed the pass anyway, got it out to Ozzie Newsome at the 49-yard line, but Doug Smith was chasing down Kozar.
And Sean Jones that time on the end of the line played off the blocker and then jumped up and was going to try and swat the ball down if he has a chance. Left side of your screen. Bernie wants to throw right now, but see Sean Jones in the air? Makes him pull it down and just does manage to complete it to the Wizard of Oz.
They told us that Doug Smith had a full beard when he was 12 years old, had to take his birth certificate to junior high school to play basketball. That's Eric Metcalf, street clothes on the sideline. Obviously, he is not going to come back. Injured a toe in the first half. Blitz again, and Kozar floats it for Brennan. And 2 wide. Boy, Brennan had beaten Steve Brown badly.
Brown really went after him at the line of scrimmage. Brian Brennan got by him, but Bernie hung it up where you're supposed to, on the outside part, except Brennan lost sight of the ball. Look, Brown wants him at the line. Now he goes in, a little stop and go right there, a little hook and go. He can't even grab him. He's got him beat so bad. I mean, that's just a bad throw by Bernie. The play was designed, when you got to hook and go, you got to lay it up so that your guy gets a shot at it. That happened to be just a bad throw.
Brennan normally can't get deep on you because he doesn't have the great speed. 3rd and 9. Blitz again, and incomplete for Redden. Number 51, Eric Fairs, was right in Bernie Kozar's face.
Barry Redden coming into this game has only had 5 receptions. In this instance is when you really miss an Eric Metcalf. When you have to get the ball, and as the Browns talk to us about it, you want to try and get the ball to Metcalf in space. Give him a chance to put those moves and dance on. He's not there anymore, so they're going to have to do it another way.
Second half, Bernie Kozar only 3 out of 7 for 13 yards. Wagner to punt, and that's Kenny Johnson waiting at the 10. The Oilers defense doing its job. They're turning it over each time and getting the ball back. Another pretty punt by Wagner. Johnson fakes the fair catch signal. And the Browns kill it inside the 1. 48 yards. A perfect punt. Mike Oliphant, who they obtained in a trade with Washington, was downfield to stop the ball. There's Oliphant. Goodyear Blimp America out of Spring, Texas, with Larry Chambers in command with us tonight, showing the exterior of the Astrodome. And a bitterly cold Houston, Texas, was down in single digits the last couple of days. They are not used to it down here.
They have a little trouble driving in this weather. Trust me. I made 4 or 5 trips out to different practice facilities. It's tough.
Kozar, we saw that last week. He's got a scab on his hand that every time he gets hit comes off. And it just starts bleeding during the game.
That thing that he's wearing on his wrist is to protect an infection he got a couple of weeks ago. And, of course, the wrap is on his elbow. Right now, this is where Houston likes to, they call it their 93-yard play. They try and go up top in a hurry.
Here it comes. Moon throw still. Made the catch. Dane Gash got him at the 38. He made 4 people miss.
Houston practices that play. That's a part of their offense. It's a play-action pass. They bring the linebackers up. But watch the move that Drew Hill makes. Look, the ball is thrown behind. He stops and comes back to the ball. That's the advantage receivers have, especially on this surface, Mike, is if they know where the ball is, they can stop and move back without any slippage whatsoever.
Boy, Givens gave him a good block, too. Great hustle by Drew Hill. Got it out to the 38th first down. And the Oilers, one of the best teams in the league with long drives. They need one here. They will not get the play off because the third quarter has come to an end. The Oilers, down 17-0, have now cut the lead to a single touchdown. Ready to start the fourth quarter with the Cleveland Browns leading the Houston Oilers 17-10. This is for the AFC Central Championship. Both teams are still alive if they lose. If the Browns lose tonight, they still qualify. If all those teams lose, and they will host the wild card if that happens and the Dolphins defeat the Chiefs. The Oilers will still be able to get into the playoffs if they lose tonight. If both the Bengals and the Colts lose, they will host the wild card, and their opponent will be the Raiders, the Dolphins, or the Steelers. Pinkett, nice cutback. Midfield and more. Pinkett to the 35-yard line where Thane Gash brought him down by the jersey.
If you've got a breakaway back for the Houston Oilers, it's Alan Pinkett. His longest run is 60 yards. He's only carried the ball 86 times this year, but his average is 4.5 yards. And this is what the red gun does. It spreads out the defensive line, and he's just allowed to pick and choose his holes. There he does a nice stutter step and manages to get upfield on Thane Gash.
5 carries, 48 yards for Alan Pinkett, the leading rusher in the ballgame. Oilers at the Browns 35. Flags are down. They haven't stopped the play yet. Now here come the officials, and they will.
Now, does that fall in the category of encroachment or offsides? Which one do you think that one will be?
I think you have to call this one major blunder.
Okay, what do we want to do here? Let me see, what do we want to call this one? Let's call it offsides, Cleveland.
Encroachment, defense, 5-yard penalty.
All right, so it's only
still first down.
Look a little bit more like offsides. I mean, when you're back by the quarterback and the ball hasn't been snapped. Oh, they got Michael Dean. He says, well, I haven't snapped it yet. Maybe I can get back.
You wonder why Jay Pennison didn't snap the ball earlier.
Because you're afraid your quarterback isn't ready. See, if you do that, the ball goes airmailing over his head. They recover it. They don't call the penalty. You're in trouble.
Oilers have not done a good job in the fourth quarter when they've been behind 2 and 6. That's the situation when they start this one. Moon near sideline. Caught inbounds or no? Yes, Duncan. Pulled the tightrope back at the sideline.
Right at the end of the second half, it looked like Houston went to this style offense, and they put Cleveland back on their heels a little bit, and they just haven't let up.
Oh,
There's
nice job.
That's a beautifully executed sideline pass. Watch him get his feet down. He drags both of them, has possession of the ball for the reception.
Sensational job by Curtis Duncan. 1st and 10 at the 19th. Oilers driving to tie. Matthews didn't quite get there, and that time Moon, if he was throwing it away, disguised it well.
Well, he tried to get the ball up the field to Drew Hill, but Warren Moon can run. And we just found out Clay Matthews can flat run, too.
And Clay Matthews has been in the league for 12 years.
I personally don't see why Warren Moon steps up under the center to take the snaps. I think his vision in this case is hindered a little bit more. They're going to throw the football. I mean, that, is pretty much the way I think they're going to go at it down here. There are his numbers. Got 145 of those yards in the third quarter alone.
This is the Warren Moon who will start for the AFC in the Pro Bowl. He is sensational. He said he's been more consistent this year. One of the reasons he's been healthy. Matthews on the blitz again. Moon unloads this time, almost intercepted. Great job by Mark Harper, who cut in front of Ernest Givens. And Givens talking to the official.
Well, both the receiver and the defensive back have an opportunity to make a play on the ball. Givens stops, and Harper doesn't. That's just the difference. This ball is thrown a little bit behind.
A lot of contact.
Well, yeah, you know, the ball's thrown a little bit behind him. I think that's what the official was looking at. If the ball was a little bit closer to really having him get a shot at catching it, they might have thrown the flag.
3rd and 10. 13:21 to go from the Astrodome. It's a 7-point game. Dropped by Harris. Hit him right in the numbers.
Mark Harper either got a hand on it or just managed to put a hand out so that he destroyed the concentration of Leonard Harris. There's a bullet for you. No, he does. He gets a hand on it.
Yeah,
oh, what
right.
a great play.
Not not Harris's fault at all.
Oh, and Warren Moon knows it. Gee whiz. That'll give you a headache.
Harper has had a sensational game at corner. Zendejas tries to cut the lead to 4. 37-yard field goal attempt. He's made one, had another block. Zendejas cuts it to 4 points. 13-12 to go in the game. 17-13. 13-12 to go in the battle for the AFC Central Division Championship. The Browns had a 17-0 lead. They have seen it cut to 17-13 by the Oilers.
Since about a minute and 40-some seconds to go in the second half, the Oilers have opened up their offense and really taken more charge of this game. It's lifted their defense. Cleveland has to get back into the play action, dunking the ball off to the halfback. You lose one of your big weapons, and you just got to figure out a way to get the ball, I think, to Webster Slaughter.
Gerald McNeil is deep. Slaughter's caught only one pass. That was for a touchdown. Donaldson makes the hit on McNeil. Excuse me, Tracy Eaton made the hit on McNeil. There is a penalty marker down on the play. And it will go against the Browns, giving them bad field position again.
I think the owners are faced with a very interesting decision in their next set of meetings, and it's to try and do something to assist the officials.
Illegal block on a return. Number 50, we will penalize half the distance to the goal. First down.
I think to do something to assist the officials, to either try and eliminate what's happened, because every time a team returns a kick almost, they get penalized, and it's taken away a very exciting part of the game of football. You'll see the right part of your screen, and there's no question Van Rader's pushed them over.
Kozar to throw. Slaughter makes his second catch of the night out to the 24. Patrick Allen brought him down.
Well, Cleveland taking a page out of Houston's book. When they were backed up, they went to Drew Hill. Now Bernie Kosar runs the play action fake, and he goes to Slaughter. Patrick Allen giving him plenty of room. I asked Bernie Kosar what the biggest strength of Webster Slaughter is, and he says his ability to make stops and start again and cut, particularly on this surface. But he's so quick coming in and out of moves.
Came into this game with 1,170 yards, third in the conference. Kozar steps up, then throws another big hit by the Oiler defense as the pass is complete. Langhorne was decked by Allen. Well, we've seen more guys go down like shots tonight.
You know, there's no question. I mean, nobody staggers around for extra yardage. I mean, they get hit, they're on the ground. It's like if you decide that you want to keep going, you're going to get really killed instead of just hit.
And it has been a clean, hard-hitting football.
And it looks like Patrick Allen is favoring that right shoulder here just a little bit. Holding that arm a little funny inside.
A gain of 9. Clock turning. 11.5 minutes to go in the game. Mack has the first down. Cleveland 34.
If I'm Houston defensively, I got to analyze Cleveland's situation now. Eric Metcalf is out. Webster Slaughter's their other big gun. I feel like that maybe Steve Brown can stay with Langhorne. So what I do is I double cover Webster Slaughter. I put a lot of people at the line of scrimmage, and I make Bernie throw the ball to people he doesn't want to throw the ball to. The tight end and Barry Redden and or Tim Manoa or Kevin Mack. I mean, that's offensively, Cleveland's got to come up with a way to get the ball. I think to Slaughter like they did coming out.
Metcalf, a huge weapon in street clothes after that first half injury. Play action, pressure again. Unloads to Redden, knocked away. And that was number 54, Al Smith, the inside linebacker. Wrapped the big arm around there and knocked the ball down.
That's the decision by Houston. Rush 6, drop 5 into coverage. Al Smith has got him in coverage. Right side of your screen, number 54. He knows that that back is assigned to him. Redden does a good job using the umpire as a screen, but Al Smith manages to get the hand in and knock it away.
2nd and 10. Browns go with 3 wide receivers and Newsome at tight end. Manoa in the backfield. Comes another blitz. Kozar to Brennan. Dishman brings him down. He'll be a yard shy of the first down.
You know, Brian Brennan doesn't get the accolades of a Webster Slaughter or doesn't have that breakaway speed maybe of a Reggie Langhorne, but he's a guy that just makes big play after big play to help keep drives going in your offense.
He has caught more passes than any other receiver taken in the 1984 draft. I mean, he's really been productive. Kozar, 15 out of 27, 202 yards. 3rd and 2. That's what the Browns have done. You see they failed in the second half, only 1 for 5. Kozar behind Langhorne. The defense has held again.
Great pressure by Sean Jones on Bernie Kozar that time. Never had a chance to set his feet. Sean Jones making the move hard inside, got the big upswing. Now he goes down low. The thing a quarterback hates is somebody coming low at your knees. It causes you to bend down and try and protect it. That time Bernie had to bury it in the dirt. Or the turf, as we are indoors.
On 4th and 2, let's see if they come after Wagner. Kenny Johnson back near his own 15. They don't send everybody. And Johnson, fair catch. They'll mark it at the 14-yard line. 42-yard punt, no return. 9 minutes, 33 seconds left in the battle for the AFC Central. Back in a moment. D on the sign, Browns owner Art Modell, the longtime mentor of the Cleveland Browns. Must be tough to own the team and sit up there and struggle with them.
Unfortunately, Mike, you and I probably will never be in that situation to have to go through that anguish, but I agree with you.
You might, I won't. Oilers down by 4, start at their own 15. Blitz again, Moon throws again. Minifield stops him just shy of the 25-yard line.
You know, contrary to what Houston is doing on defense, blitzing people to try and put pressure on Bernie Kozar, I just don't believe that Cleveland can do the same thing. That time they brought Clay Matthews and the other linebackers. I don't believe they can do it because Warren Moon just gets rid of the ball so quickly, and there are the numbers. I mean, you know, the game has been it's turned into a throwing contest. Warren Moon rushing for that big first down. Has been sacked 4 times. Great pressure by the Cleveland front, but still back there firing away.
Right after our telecast, Sports Center.
Of course, the Cleveland Browns would love to get one more sack because they set a record for themselves. They are at 44 now. If they get 45 sacks, it sets a record. And they start every meeting since training camp. They start every meeting, the defensive line does, and ends every meeting saying 45, 45. That's the goal they've set for themselves.
First down from the 25. Straight four-man rush this time. Jump off to Pinkett. Brought down by middle linebacker Mike Johnson. Time becoming a factor. We're down to 8:47 and counting. It is a 4-point game. 17-13 Browns, who had taken a 17-0 lead.
See Warren Moon come out of the huddle licking his fingers? That only means one thing. He's putting it up again.
Gibbons dives forward for the first down to the 42-yard line. Got all he could out of it and then dove forward to get an extra couple. Now, you said that they had to go with the 4 wide receivers, go with the red gun offense. They have, and it's been very effective, and a penalty against the Browns on this play.
It's offsides against the Browns. It'll be refused, and they'll take the first down.
Offsides, defense, number 92. Penalty is declined. First down.
They just announced an all-time high attendance at the Astrodome. 62,458 tickets sold. It is an all-time single-season attendance record as well. We had 3,600 no-shows, however, tonight. Probably couldn't get their cars started.
You got it.
Blitz. Moon with time. Incomplete. Good coverage by Dixon. He was right with Haywood Jeffries.
When you commit people to the blitz, you have to have your corners get hands on the wide receivers. You can't let them get away. See what Hanford Dixon does? He slows up Jeffries just enough to make sure that he can't get to that ball. His stopping him at the line of scrimmage made the incompletion possible by that 1 foot.
Dixon and Minifield are so good at running the entire pattern and then at the last moment turning around for the ball. Warren Moon now with 323-yard passing. Delay to Pinkett. Very close to the first down. Across midfield, Matthews, Thane, Gash, Hanford, Dixon were there. They will measure for the first down.
And this is what the 4 wide receivers allow you to do. They force your front 4 to get into a pass rushing mode, which creates the big gaps, and then Pinkett just picks a hole and scoots right up the field.
Second and a foot.
Watch this. See what happens? See how Michael Dean goes one way and Big Daddy goes the other? Now, this was something Bud Carson told me yesterday he didn't really want to do. He didn't want to stun a lot for fear of the big running play, and he stunted, and it came back to haunt him. So I wouldn't necessarily think you're going to see a lot of it from the Cleveland front from here on out for the next 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
The second half has been dominated by the Houston Oilers. Scoreboard says second down. It is actually third down and inches. Quarterback Steve Moon, first down. .56 to go in this game. And the winner gets the AFC Central Championship, and maybe more importantly, what goes with that, the week off.
Not only that, home field, and they get to host Buffalo in the playoffs. Now, You know, Buffalo's either got to go to the frozen tundra of Cleveland or come into the warm climate of Houston, which is frozen tundra outside but decent inside.
Well, this drive is taking up a lot of time. Here comes another all-out blitz. Moon unloads. Duncan has it at the 29. There's a flag down. Flag back at the 45.
Now, where that flag is, it's probably going to be some type of defensive interference or holding. You can tell by locations of the flag what it means.
Holding. Defense, number 31. Penalty is declined. First down.
From Minifield.
Watch his right hand. See? See, he's got him right there. Now, it's one thing to put a hand up. It's another thing to just hang on. There's his chin strap off. Duncan's got to adjust his face mask so he can see out of his helmet again. I'd say that falls in the category of holding, just short of mauling.
This drive has already taken 3.5 minutes off the fourth quarter clock. We're down to 6:20. A field goal only gets them within a point. The Oilers need a touchdown. Duncan again. Minifield gets him at the 21-yard line. And Duncan slow getting up.
He has just taken some shots. I mean, not only is this a physical game, you know, we talk about Houston being aggressive and physical. You have to put Cleveland right in that same category. Everybody in that secondary will hit you. As a matter of fact, talking to the wide receivers with Houston, they say that the toughest thing about the receivers is they're so physical. Or their defensive backs are so physical.
6:07 to go in the game. Ball spotted at the 20. We'll check on the injury in a moment. Welcome back to the Astrodome. Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann. It's been the kind of game we thought it would be. 4-point game, a little bit more than 6 minutes to go.
Well, you know, everybody's pulling all the stops out. We've seen some great hitting. I mean, you just have to watch this game for a little bit and know what's online. But the intensity of this game is unbelievable. Houston is doing exactly what they had to do. They've opened up the offense. Cleveland, on the other hand, has lost one of their most valuable people, and that's Eric Metcalf. Bernie doesn't have the guy to dink it off to and continue to try and keep drives going. So, you know, Cleveland's got to come up with some kind of a solution once they get their hands back on the ball.
Warren Moon, a career high, or making a season high, 351 yards on 28 out of 45. Got to the 15-yard line. Clock continues to run. It's a first down. Felix Wright made the tackle.
This is what's known as grabbing the top of somebody's head. When he's short, you just grab anywhere. And here, you know, they come in and they say, all right, we'll grab the top of that. No face mask. Try and rip your head off this way. Felix Wright coming in, puts the big paw up top. And takes them all.
10th play of a drive that's taken nearly 4.5 minutes off the clock. We have only 5:12 left to go. Moon wasn't ready and has to fall, and he missed it. Browns football, Matthews, and he laterals. Do you believe this?
And Ernest Gibbons winds up with the football.
Houston has it back. Matthews just turned around and tossed it. Oh, my goodness.
See, what you asked me before why they didn't snap the ball when somebody was offside.
That's
why. Because when you're in a shotgun, what happens is the center's down there. He hears a sound. He's afraid it might be the quarterback. That's exactly what happened in that instance.
Apparently, possession is still a question here. Dick Hancock taking his time about this.
He's got to try and figure it out what he's going to say. I'm not sure.
A change of possession with a backward pass by the defense, which was recovered by Houston. First down, Houston.
Unbelievable play.
I know one guy that's asking himself some questions, and that's the guy right there. What? Now, see? Warren's changing the play. He doesn't even see it go by. That's where this crowd even works to the disadvantage of the Houston Oilers. He can't get on it. Now here comes the most bizarre part of it. Who's he throwing? I'll tell you who's throwing it to. He's throwing it to Felix Wright, and Wright disappears. And then it becomes like a scrum, and everybody's jumping all over it.
Oh, you know Clay Matthews, as soon as he let it go, said, why did I do that?
I don't know what they're looking at. See, I can't quite figure out what they're looking at. He obviously had possession. It was obviously a lateral. And it's now obviously Houston's ball.
Givens made the recovery. It would have been Cleveland's ball. Matthews was trying to make the huge play out of it and turn around and lateral to a teammate. Matthews has it and just tosses it. Unbelievable. So Houston gets another start with 4:51 to go. Here's another blitz. After one of the most bizarre plays I've ever seen, Warren Moon capitalizes. Drew Hill for a touchdown, and you can just read it on Bud Carson's face. And Clay Matthews. Then Dayhouse. The Oilers have taken a 20-17 lead after a bizarre play that gave the ball back to Houston.
This is what happens. Cleveland decides they want to blitz. There's nobody on Drew Hill's nose. That's a mismatch. He's up against Felix Wright. Felix really doesn't stand a chance. They're just counting on trying to get to Moon before he can get it off. That's why Warren Moon is going to the Pro Bowl, because he is unbelievable.
Sensational night for Warren Moon, especially in the second half. A season-high 378 yards, the second best of his career. In 1986, he threw for 398 in a game. And if the Browns can score, he may be able to break that record.
I think what you have to take into consideration is Houston really spotted Cleveland the whole first half before they decided to throw the football. A lot of those yards have just come in, you know, what? A quarter and two-thirds.
McNeil awaits the kickoff. The Browns now down by a field goal. Loose ball. It's ruled down. Cleveland ball. No fumble. Tracy Eaton again on special teams with the big hit.
Bud Carson saying to himself, what else can happen to me? Gosh, it wasn't supposed to be this way when I took over. Watch the shot come from the left side. Now is the ball out down by contact? It certainly looked like it.
Couldn't see from that angle, but
hard to tell. Here's another look. Yeah, the ball hits the ground and it bounces up. Yep, absolutely. Boy, the roof almost came off of this place.
Boy, Clay Matthews just hoping that his ball club can come back. You feel bad for him because throughout his career he has made so many brilliant plays. that have won games for the Browns.
And even tonight, he goes in, he blocks a field goal.
Sure.
He made key sacks. I mean, he's been the guy that's made it happen for him.
One of the Browns injured.
Number 87, Ron Middleton, gets it right on the knee. Oh, Eaton comes right down on his knee. There's a guy who a week ago had a little baby born, 24 weeks premature, and caught his first touchdown pass and gave it to his little son. And hopefully it's something not very serious.
Been going home to visit his wife and his son, Ron II, his wife, Kim. Able to take the baby home last Friday. Caught his first NFL career pass with the Oilers, the 8th of his career. First touchdown pass. Took the ball home, and Middleton will be able to go off the field. Gets a nice hand. When he caught that touchdown pass last week, it was on the frozen ground, and he slipped after he made the catch and fell down. Says, I hope Chris Berman doesn't get on me for this. This guy is not your typical tight end. He's 255 pounds.
Got that leg hanging up.
The big games always seem to come down to the end of the fourth quarter with everything hanging in the balance. A three-point game, 4:36 left.
It has been classic. 7 of the last 9 confrontations between these two ball clubs have been decided by 7 points or less.
Fuller and Jones were right there.
William Fuller gets a hand on this one. Fourth-year guy, got here in a trade in '86 at the University of North Carolina. There comes the push up the middle. Lots of big hands. See him work to the inside. Now he jumps and swats it. That's what's happened so much now with defensive linemen. They get a push, they can't go any further, and they jump and knock the ball down.
2nd and 10. Kozar tried to dump it to Slaughter. He was under tremendous pressure. Fuller again, all over him.
What the Oilers are doing is they're forcing him to step up into the pocket. See, because they know Bernie moves around, but he's not a runner. There he just tries to jump shot one to Slaughter, and it goes high. There's a jump shot, and boom, one high, one low. Doug Smith gives him one under the chin, and Fuller gets him around the ankle.
3rd and 10.
There's a guy that doesn't even know his jersey's coming off him.
Three-man rush. Kozar intended for Brennan. Patrick Allen was right there.
Bernie Kozar this time gets the protection. Brennan from the top of your screen doesn't really make a move. Patrick Allen stays right in his hip pocket. A lot of hand fighting, a lot of contact by both corners, both Cleveland's and Houston.
Boy, Allen ran that route better than Brennan did.
You see, he didn't do anything to stop him from making the move. When you're split that wide, you're not going to go out. You got to come in.
Wagner has to punt. Kenny Johnson signals fair catch and makes it. 41-yard punt, no return. 4 minutes, 13 seconds to go. Houston will try to work the clock. Here are the standings. Houston comes into the game with a half-game lead on the Browns. Whoever wins the AFC Central. If the Browns lose tonight, they still qualify as a wild card. But the following 4 teams all have to lose. They will host the wild card if all that happens and the Dolphins defeat the Chiefs. If the Oilers lose tonight, they would qualify as a wild card. If the Bengals and the Colts both lose tomorrow, they would host the wild card. Their opponent, the Raiders, the Dolphins, or the Steelers, depending on which one of them gets it.
Now don't start. Please don't start. I'm too confused. I just think Houston, you know, now they're going to go back to the 2 backs to try and take some time off the clock. But, man, when you're hot, you're hot. I don't know if I'd do this. Obviously, they want to.
Highsmith and Pinkett are the backs. Browns have nearly everybody on the line of scrimmage. He's with it. Flag down. Pinkett with a huge run, but there is a flag at the line of scrimmage. Well, the Browns sold out on the run, and Pinkett nearly broke it all the way.
There's the flag. Cleveland brings the corner. See, now you're forced into a situation where you've got to put the ball up in the air a little bit instead of just coming out and doing what got you back into the ball game.
Holding. Offense. Number 77. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the first down.
Gain of 22 yards nullified, and it's left tackle Bruce Davis.
There he is, left side of your screen. He gets his feet out of position. He just winds up hooking Banks. And he's got a forearm on him and everything else.
Davis comes to the sideline for the Oilers. It was the first flag against Houston in the 4th quarter. They're 12th overall, but all year long they have had the least number of penalties called on them in the 4th period.
Well, they settle down. They set the tone, and then they settle down and play football instead of fight.
John Maggs in at left tackle on 1st and 20. Great 4-man rush. Pass complete to Drew Hill. Boy, he got a shot from midfield and Matthews as he got up to the 39-yard line, and Hill going to be a little slow getting up.
You know, that's one of those cases where when you're laying there, you're trying to catch your breath, and your teammates come over and they lift you up, and you're sort of saying, leave me alone. Watch the forearm Clay Matthews delivers as Drew Hill goes down. He's heading over for pursuit right there, and there comes the forearm right in the nose. That's why they make face masks.
Second down, 11. Pinkett on the run. Wrapped up by Pike. Wasn't fooled a bit. Chris out of Tulsa. And there is a penalty flag down on this play, which will stop the clock with 3:10 left. Probably decline that and bring up a 3rd and 11.
Illegal motion against Houston. Probably one of their wide receivers wasn't set.
Illegal motion. Offense. Penalty is declined. 3rd down.
3rd and 11 with 3:10 to go in the game. Browns are down by 3.
Houston's tried to run the ball twice, and they've gotten penalties on both of them. When they've thrown the ball, they've picked up almost 10 yards.
If the Browns do get the ball back, stop Houston here, they will have only 2 timeouts left. They used the first one on the first play of the second half. Blitz, and Harper got the move. Matthews came up the middle, Harper came around the outside, and Robert Banks got there too.
Great play by Cleveland's defense. They sell out. They bring Harper off the corner. He's lined up outside in coverage, and then he just comes hard around. They don't have enough people to block everybody up there. Warren Moon looking downfield, never saw him coming.
5 sacks by the Browns line.
People think if you're a right-handed quarterback, it's easy to see people rushing from the right, but in all truth, it's more difficult. It's easier to see them out of peripheral vision to the left. You concentrate downfield, and you expect people to be blocked on your front side.
Browns show 10 men on the front against Montgomery. McNeil back at his 30. Clock running, 2:38 to go. Low snap, but he got it out of there. Good kick. And a bounce in favor of Cleveland. It will be down outside the 40-yard line. Only a 31-yard punt. The Browns with excellent field position, and they only need the field goal to tie.
That's why I really continue to question why they came out with the two backs. We haven't seen two backs from Houston the entire second half, and they put up 17 points on the board. They've gotten the time that they had it out there, they got a 10-yard penalty. The other time they tried to run the ball, they got another penalty in this last series. So, I mean, they got a little bit away and played just a little bit conservative. Jerry's got to face it. They are not a conservative football team. They've got to come with all guns blazing, or else they can't handle it.
2.5 minutes, certainly a lot of time, enough for the Browns. Kozar to Slaughter. Gets down to the Houston 48-yard line, very close to another first down. McDowell chased him out of bounds.
Bernie proving that he can run the shotgun as well. Like I said before, extremely accurate passer. Now they're lined up with the four wides, and all they have to do is get another 20 yards or so, and they'll be within field goal range.
The Browns were a little conservative themselves here in the second half. Of course, they went in with a 17-3 lead. It is a first down. Kozar scrambles out of trouble over the middle. Brennan almost picked off by Richard Johnson after the tip. Sometimes on the run, the ball sails on you a little.
It does, especially when you're not used to it. Now, Brennan gets inside, does a good job of working up the field. Now, here he is just running down. He's looking for a hole. He knows Bernie's in trouble, and he plants to try and make the catch. It goes through his hands and then through Kenny Johnson's as well.
2:19 to go in the game. 2nd and 10 for the Browns at the Oiler 48. The Browns have not had the ball very much. Kozar over the middle, complete to Langhorne, close to another first down. The linebacker Robert Lyles made the tackle. Browns seem to be content to let it get down to the 2-minute warning.
And it's a good thing, too, because they're going to have an opportunity here to talk it over.
We've reached the 2-minute warning from the Astrodome. It's a 3-point game. Thank you, Chris. 20-17 with 2 minutes to go. Jerry Glanville and Bud Carson. Before the game, Bud Carson said it was the most important game he'd ever been associated with. 3rd and a yard. Kozar sneak has the first down. Just keeping the drive alive. They'll move the chains. If you're wondering about overtime, the Browns are very experienced at it. They've had 4 of them this year. Not a great record. They're 1-2-1.
That's right.
Mack gaping all up the middle. Donaldson wraps him up, but he gets down to the 24, maybe the 23-yard line. And they are well within Matt Barr's range. He has missed several critical kicks this year, 3 potential game winners, and 1 that would have tied it. Barr actually said 2 weeks ago when he missed 2 potential game-winning kicks in the same game was the lowest point of his career. But he came through last week with 1, sent the game into overtime with a 32-yarder.
You know, kickers catch so much flack around the league from the guy. You know, nobody calls them football players. They put them off someplace. The guys don't want to hang around with them. But Matt Barr is a guy who's been in the league a long time, and now he becomes everybody's friend. They all wish him well. They want him to get out there and make it happen for him, and they'll carry him off the field. And, you know, the kicker's life is so uncertain. I mean, 1 minute you're a hero, the next minute nobody wants to talk to you.
Puts a lot of pressure on the defense. They're trying to keep you from gaining yards for the field goal, but you don't want to get up so tight that they get a touchdown on you.
Right.
Kozar goes to the end zone. Incomplete, intended for Lawyer Tillman. His 6'5" rookie receiver, Patrick Allen, at 5'10", was with him, and Tillman is hurt. Well, we've had a lot of guys get up slow in this one.
Well, if it isn't the receivers hitting them, they're pounding themselves off. Here it is, just a go against Patrick Allen. Now, Allen does what every good, experienced cornerback does. He's looking back at the ball, and he changes his route as long as he's ahead of the guy to just get in front of him and either get pass interference called against the offense or slow him down enough so that the ball can't be caught or gotten to.
The official coming to the sideline to talk to Bud Carson.
Now, if you got an injury inside of 2 minutes, it's an automatic charge timeout. And the fact that Lawyer Tillman was down and the medical team had to go out and treat him, they're going to take away their last timeout. That's just the way the rule is. So Bud doesn't have any more to play with.
But there is plenty of time, a minute 25. You simply can't get careless with it.
You brought up a really good point, Mike. And you know, Houston's got to be real careful here. Because if Cleveland scores, that gives them a 4-point bubble. And that means that Houston's going to have to score the touchdown in a short period of time, not set up for a field goal. So it's another thing to play for OT, another one to try and score a touchdown to get yourself the division championship.
2nd and 10, ball at the Houston 24. The Browns in 2-minute drills rank in the top third of the league. Against the blitz, the pass complete to Langhorne to the 15. The Browns with no timeouts will hurry up. What a finish.
What a game.
Mack to the 5, to the 3, first down. 2 great calls have sent Mack up the middle.
Cleveland continuing to run their hurry-up offense.
Block running. Mack again. Second effort, touchdown.
In for the touchdown.
Holy cow, what a drive.
Unbelievable. Bernie Kosar with some great catches. Kevin Mack with a big run. Now, we said it right at the top. He's the guy. He's in his 3rd game. He's starting to reach full stride. Get his legs back. Last week carried the ball 18 times, had 1 catch. Now they're really putting it on his shoulders, and he's come through.
He said he is so grateful for this opportunity to come back. Now the extra point, critical. It is a 3-point game now. And of course, Houston's special teams outstanding at going after blocking the kick. Barr has not missed an extra point this year. And he's still happy. And that makes it a 4-point game. Boy, Mack had 3 great runs on that drive.
And a lot of that yardage he made after he was hit. He just puts himself down and goes after it. That's why Bud Carson said he'd be a great tailback. And watch when he gets ahead of steam up. Watch this. He's hit right there. Right at the 4-yard line, he's hit, and he just continues to keep driving, running over a whole bunch of Oilers.
You know, there are a lot of happy Cleveland Browns out there. I'll tell you, the guy that's the happiest of anybody out there, that's Clay Matthews.
You aren't kidding. I'll guarantee you, he found Kevin Mack long before anybody else did to congratulate him.
Bud Carson in admittedly the biggest game of his life. Mark Trestman, the offensive coordinator, gets the hug, and Jerry Glanville sees it coming apart with 39 seconds to go in the game. There's Matthews talking with Bud Carson and the Oilers. The head shake tells you just about everything you need to know.
I'll tell you, this game, you talk about agony and ecstasy. We've seen it all here. 1 minute you're jumping around, you're happy as can be because your team scored. The next minute you're turning around, your heart's beating, saying, please stop them.
Now the Oilers have all 3 timeouts left and 39 seconds on the clock. The winner takes the AFC Central Championship and will play host to the Buffalo Bills in 2 weeks. The loser may or may not get into the playoffs. Wagner, the kickoff. Squib kick. Miss it! They let it bounce. Johnson lost the handle, got it back. Stacked up the 20-yard line. That took 5 seconds off the clock. And Warren Moon will have that amount of time remaining plus 3 timeouts. He needs a touchdown. A field goal will do them no good.
He needs 2 big completions to get up around the 50-yard line with about 20 seconds to go. And he may need 1 more to get a shot down to the 30 with 2 shots in the end zone to try and pull it out. He could get at least 5 plays off, but he's going to have to make some big completions.
Moon approaching a career high, has 387 yards on the night. But the record doesn't mean anything to him. He wants to win. Throw short and incomplete, intended for Gibbons. Covered very well by Kyle Kramer out of Bowling Green, a rookie who was in on 6 or 7 defensive back set for the Browns.
Yeah, if they carried 8 on the roster, all 8 of them would be in there now.
Too, yeah. There's no place to hide, and Patrick Allen, as most of his Oiler teammates, was devastated by the turn of events. I mean, the momentum was totally in their favor in the second half. A gutsy turnaround by the Browns. Pinkett been so dangerous in the open field. Harper brought him down at the 33. It's a first down, and the Oilers will stop the clock. If the Oilers go on to lose this, here's how they can still make the playoffs. They have as good a chance to make the wild card as anybody. They need Bengals and the Colts to lose. And the Colts are at New Orleans, the Bengals at Minnesota, so certainly not out of the question for both of those ball clubs.
They may have to wait until Monday night to find out when Minnesota plays Cincinnati. And there you see the playoff lineup. We're getting closer to finding out what's going on. Actually, the scenario is much more difficult for Cleveland to get in if they don't win.
Yes, it is.
So if there's a team that has a closer outside chance, it would be Houston, but I'm sure they're not looking forward to that.
Career high yardage for Warren Moon. They have thrown the ball almost exclusively the entire second half. They've got to throw the ball downfield. The little dink passes aren't going to help now with 23 left. Short of Duncan. Coverage by Tony Blaylock.
Now the other thing is when a Houston receiver catches the ball, he can go down and declare himself down or immediately turn around and signal for a timeout. And that's what they're going to have to do. Now that pass was down around Cleveland's 45-yard line, which would give them a chance to try and get to the end zone. The Cleveland, I mean, these guys are out of the picture, the secondary. And they're back so far, there's not going to let anybody get behind them.
2nd and 10 with 18 seconds to go in the game. Flag is down. The catch made by Hill. That ball was in a holding defensive call against the Browns. That would only be a 5-yard penalty. Let's see if they say it was a catch or not.
Holding. Defense, number 31. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, they're going to say it was not a catch. It looked like it short hopped in there.
You know what I'd do if I was a defensive coach? I'd line up my DBs on the wide receivers and say, hold them. After they get 4 or 5 down, hold them. Each tick of the clock works to your advantage. Take the 5-yard holding penalty. It's insignificant at this point for Cleveland. You know, Houston, they don't want to let them make the big
Great
completion.
idea.
That's what I do as a defensive coach, but I'm not.
3-man rush. Moon throws complete to Hill. He's to the Browns 49. They immediately signal timeout, but that leaves them 7 seconds to go.
Houston is in a situation now where they do have that one opportunity to throw the ball deep up, and it's a Hail Mary pass, for lack of a better description. I mean, this is where you want to dial Minnesota and see if they can lend you Hassan Jones just for one play.
And you look at Drew Hill, he's 5'9". Ernest Givens is 5'9". Leonard Harris is 5'8". The only tall receiver they have is Haywood Jeffries at 6'2".
Now, we also have Kenny Jackson.
He's a 6-footer.
Yeah, he's a big guy. Kenny's from my hometown, South River High School. He can jump. He can play bad. I know he's a jumper.
The wide receivers on the field are Givens, Hill, Duncan, and Jeffries. And Alan Pinkett is also in there. Seven seconds left. Up for grabs. Out of bounds. No time left on the clock. That's it. The Cleveland Browns came from behind on the last possession they had in the ball game, got Clay Matthews off the hook, and have won the AFC Central Division. They will host a playoff game against the Buffalo Bills.